It's time for MacBreak Weekly. Andy, Alex, and Jason are all here. We'll talk about the rock and the hard place that Tim Cook is wedged right in there between. Also, how much more your next Apple Watch or MacBook might cost thanks to tariffs. We'll also talk about the new designs for the next iPhone. That and a lot more coming up next on MacBreak Weekly.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is MacBreak Weekly, episode 980, recorded Tuesday, July 8th, 2025. I have never ate tomato ketchup onions. It's time for MacBreak Weekly. Hello, everybody. Time to talk about the latest news from Apple with Andy Ihnatko of ihnatko.com. Alex
there.
of officehours.global.
Hello.
And the legendary wizard, Jason Snell, sixcolors.com. I don't know. Are you a wizard?
And I'll put my hood up so I can be fully
there he is.
And,
he's a wizard.
And a blessed Prime Day to you.
Lisa asked me this morning, okay, what should we get on Prime? I said, absolutely nothing. I'm kind of an anti-Amazon guy these days. I don't know why that is. There's still stuff I have to buy, but increasingly, the stuff that I want is no longer sold locally because they've basically put everybody out of business. Our independent bookstore is not quite closing down, but is getting rid of 60% of its space and eliminating its used books floor. And I blame Amazon. But I also blame myself because every time I go into the bookstore to look for a book, they don't have it, and then I go to Amazon and order it for the next day.
Yeah. Our friend Glenn Fleischman has a website where you can look up and find used books and stuff, and he's just using, a search engine to do it. It's very clever. But he said that the used book market went from being like this kind of amazing adventure where you never knew what you were going to find and you might get a good deal. And then the internet came in and there was like this period where used books became like, oh, now I can get a used book anywhere. And the prices were kind of all over the place, but you could finally find it thanks to the internet. And he says now, 25, 30 years into this, it's reached the point where you can find any book that's ever been published used somewhere for almost nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like it's completely flattened it.
There's this library has a really wonderful, instead of having like a once or twice a year book sale, they have like a sort of a section that's just nothing but like donated books and movies and stuff like that you can buy like really, really cheap. And I never know how to react when I see somebody, like when I see one of those book scanners there, where they just have piles and piles of books and going beep, beep. Look, just basically trying to clear out all the ones that have any value whatsoever so they can sell them. Because on the one hand, they're there to be sold. The money benefits the library. That's the whole purpose of them being there. On the other hand, it just seems gauche, doesn't it?
Well, it's like when Anthropic scanned all those books, and the judge says it was okay because you destroyed them after you scanned them. So that was fair use. You bought them, scanned them, and then destroyed them. And it's like
the ones that they scanned and destroyed. But I think the problem was what other websites did they use to? That was the other.
They have far more volumes in the.
It's like look good here. Like look at what we're doing here while we're like grabbing most.
Well, they're still going
90% somewhere else. Yeah.
All right, that's enough of that. That's enough of Leo's gripes for the day. Let's. You brought up Amazon Prime Day. That's why.
It's true. Happy Prime Day to all who celebrate.
And I feel so bad for all the bloggers, all the people, even at Consumer Reports. Nicholas De Leon, who was on Sunday on Twit, said, "Yeah, we got to do all the Prime Day coverage." It's like you don't have to. Did you remember? Did they do that, Jason, when you were back at the magazine, or no? It hadn't happened. Really
we would do that a little bit, but because there's affiliate marketing. Basically, you're getting a kickback. You're getting traffic, and you're getting a kickback, and so everybody does it now. We did that a little, but we tried not to do it very much. I do have a friend who works for a tech website, and I was like, "Hey, I want you to be on my podcast," and he was like, "Well, not this week because it's Prime Day," and I'm like, "Oh boy,
if you work for Wirecutter, it's not a holiday.
I'm sorry, gotta get out of there." Well,
it's a bad day.
I signed up for streaming on Amazon, which I've never done, but I signed up as a curiosity, and of course, last week there was a lot of emails. Like, here are all your incentives.
Let's face it, the internet is completely shitified. I opened our spreadsheet. We do our show rundowns in Google Sheets, and of course, Google said, hey, you want Copilot to analyze this? Hey, 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 hey. And even when I said no, it left a little toolbar just floating there, just in case I changed my mind. So annoying. What a world we live in. What a world we live in. But there are many other things to complain about. The good news is on iOS 26, Beta 3, Apple's dialing back liquid glass.
Yeah, it seems like they've turned off the liquidity and turned it into just frosted glass.
Oh, what?
We'll see. I mean, the liquid also involves it like sort of like having some animations and stuff. We'll see if this is like a permanent retrenchment or if then they dial it back. I feel like they're tuning it in a little bit, and we'll see whether it stays this way or if it goes back.
Have you played with the Beta 3, Jason? You installed it already?
I got them on all the stuff.
Is this the indicator you were looking for the public beta? Like this, once Beta 3 comes out?
Yeah, this is what I said last week, which is they'll probably release a developer beta next week, and assuming that it doesn't have horrible bugs in it that can't be, then they would go a week and do a public beta. I think that is a likely scenario, but they also have the possibility that it's bugs and they fix them, because they sometimes do that where the public beta is a new build number, but it's because they identified like a little problem, but otherwise they think it's fine. But they don't want the public beta. Public beta always kind of trails the developer beta. So developer beta is like your sense of danger. And public beta, they want it to be like, okay, we spent a week and nobody died, so now it'll be the public beta. So if I had to bet, I would say, next week sometime will be the time.
Apple did say by the end of July, didn't they, for the public? First
they said next month, but they said it last
but this,
month. So
to me, this feels like and like I said last week, the most likely scenario was that there'll be a beta 3 this week, which there was, and that would be the candidate. And Apple will never talk about this, but that's sort of what goes on behind the scenes, is that this is the candidate. And if all things are okay, it may be what, either is the public beta or forms the public beta with like some minor updates. And then, that will proceed throughout the summer. You get the developer betas and then you get a public beta release. And when they're comfortable that the developer beta is okay.
So we're developer beta 3 for iOS 26, iPadOS 26, and macOS 26. All three came out yesterday. So, okay, we're ready to go then, huh? Anything we should watch out for? I think you're all using the developer beta, right, in some form or fashion.
Yep, I'm using it on the iPhone.
Yeah. Alex, are you playing with it, or you're Mr. Production Machine?
No. I haven't gotten them onto my OSs yet, but on my iPhone I have it on there. It looks nice.
Yeah. Okay. I have to say that the Beta 3, maybe it's because it looks. It's a step forward. It's not a leap forward, so I like it more. But I'm keen to see if they dial it forward a little bit more. Because I was surprised at whereas the first one was gloopy and glossy and very like 1980s. I thought this version is the Beta 3 is. It's a lot more subtle. It's a lot more readable. It's a lot more usable, but it's also not quite as dramatic. And now that I'm kind of used to it, I'm kind of appreciating some of the little touches, like when you have like tab bars, and we have slider controls. Like there is actually the liquid part is that there is some chromatic chromatic dispersion, so you can see a little bit of a rainbow effect, like just on the trailing edge. Not so much that it calls attention to itself, but if you're looking for places where Apple decided to flex how powerful the GPU is on Apple Silicon, this is where they decided to waste those duty cycles. It's very nice. I'd like to see them be a little bit. Now I'd like to see them be even just a touch more aggressive.
This just in. tvOS came out today, Beta 3. So now we're complete. Yep. We have the full armor set and all the buffs associated thereon. And presumably, again, next week. I have not installed any of it. Any caveats for those of us who are holding back to the public beta? Anything?
I usually do a whole string of caveats about betas, right? Like back up your stuff, which you should do, of course, and all of that. But I will say this, it is the most drama-free, stable environment I've seen for a while in terms of these summer betas. There are, as we've talked about with Liquid Glass, there are some issues involving how it looks, but I've been able to do my work just fine with with all of these devices. Again, if you're somebody who ekes every last minute of your, battery time out of your iPhone, don't install a beta because the battery life is bad, right? Like, because it's a beta, it's not optimized, it's not ready. But in terms of functionality, I have not had that situation where I'm like, oh no, I put it on my Mac and now I regret everything because nothing works right. It's like, it's all been fine, at least so far. Things happen. You just have to kind of accept that they're going to be weird things. Like, I was using the iPad today attached to an external display, and I tried. And I was dragging a window around, and the shadow of the window was on the iPad, even though the window was on the external display. I was like, it's like it had a ghost. And it's like, it's beta. Stuff like that happened. And then the Windows server quit. And so it all went blank, and then it came back. And I'm like, stuff like that happens in the beta. So if you're not comfortable with that sort of thing, don't do it. But it hasn't been a stopper for me. And sometimes you install these betas historically, and they are stoppers. And you're like, oh God, I can't do my work on this computer. And I haven't experienced that at all with any of them this year.
Good. Very exciting. Apple Watch Ultra is going to be updated. Is the Apple, the Watch OS, is it 26? It must be, right?
It is. They're all 26. I haven't done that one. That's the one that I just have decided that I don't need to cause trouble with my Apple Watch. I got Dan Morin writing that story. Dan Morin's writing that story for 6 Colors, so I don't have to do that one. So I'm just gonna hold off for a little while.
He's the one who he was the guinea pig this time, right?
Yeah, he gets that one. Tag.
He also is writing about his Vision OS.
They got him. I was telling my Apple PR guy, I was like, Dan and Leo are both, we're actually expressing interest in trying Vision Pro out a little bit, and they're like,
they said, okay, we'll go to Dan, but who's Leo again? Who's that Leo guy?
They didn't even.
They didn't even do that.
I think that I pointed out to Apple's Vision Pro PR person that there is no podcast that covers Vision Pro better than MacBreak.
You don't injure yourself. I don't.
It's true.
Probably best that they don't know you're associated.
The leading Vision Pro.
We are the leading Vision Pro.
We have a theme song and everything. I mean, it is. Yeah. I think we're
Who
out
else
there.
Has a theme song? No one.
We are on the cutting edge of Vision Pro.
Wow, that's in some ways
Dan,
sad.
Dan got it. No, it's fun because he's using 26.
So he got a new one. Good for him.
Yeah, I don't know. New. It was probably a review unit from. So he's got
Joanna Stern's
it's a loaner, but So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, nice. All right, good. I'm trying to do all the happy stuff before we get to the tariffs. I might as well. Okay. The story begins with China, weirdly, pulling 300 employees out of Foxconn, India. Remember that Apple announced that they were planning, or not, they didn't announce, maybe it was just a rumor. I don't know what Apple. Yeah, Apple said they were going to start moving their iPhone Pro production to India. And by 2027, they hope to have at least a quarter of it coming out of India, to which the Chinese Communist Party apparently responded, not so fast, Timmy. It's maybe just as a demonstration of the fact that they control even those plants in India.
Yeah, very much so. Because it's not just the personnel; it's also the equipment. It's also the expertise. Like if China were to shut it down completely, then India would have a very long runway to be able to get back to doing 94% of the assembly of iPhones in the world.
Yeah. Or is it, what's the problem with the geopolitical situation? It also could merely be, a threat to Donald Trump. It could be like, oh, wait, don't tariff us, bro. It's just unknown. We can only observe that 300 Foxconn employees were told to return to China.
Yeah, well. Also, India is a major manufacturing threat. They've shown how quickly they can mobilize.
Only the Taiwanese staff remain. Foxconn is a Taiwanese company, but all of the Chinese nationals were
repatriated. Most likely the Chinese nationals are the ones that know how to do it. Like the Taiwanese are the ones that designed it, that manage it. But the Chinese are probably the ones that were actually working in the factory. Because a lot of times what you want to do when you're doing any kind of this type of thing is surround a person who knows what they're doing with a bunch of people that are learning,
Right.
and have them guide them. So by pulling those 300 out, they probably pulled all the operational people that were sitting next, shoulder to shoulder with the folks that were, and it just makes it much harder to evolve.
We've learned so much about this whole process from Patrick McGee's excellent Apple in China book. Andy, did you get it back from the library?
There's another person waiting for it, so I did have to return it, but I have to order my own copy now.
Yeah, I haven't finished it, but really the tale is how Apple, I don't want to say inadvertently, but it was an unintended consequence of Apple moving all its production to contract manufacture, and then ultimately to contract manufacture in China. Terry Gao of Foxconn was so accommodating, and the Chinese government, very importantly, was so accommodating. They said, "Sure, we'll build a city here. We'll build iPhone City here. Sure, we will get migrant labor from the hinterlands and bring them in just for you, Apple." But the tit for tat was, Apple, you'll teach us how to make iPhones and all the accompanying technologies, and the handcuffs are only we can do it now. There's no way to get this done anywhere else.
Again, this is it sounds like it's a Chinese plan, but this has happened in many different places where it's just, especially when you have a complex process. You look at the AKM fire that happened right before COVID, right at the beginning of COVID, the AKM fire. Basically, there was one factory that built all the analog to digital converters.
Oh, the ADD converters. That's right.
For everyone.
Yeah.
And suddenly the price went from $3 to $250 because there was just nothing, and
that's just because it takes a while to spin up a factory, but those legacy nodes aren't hard to spin up. I mean, you don't need EUV manufacturing. You don't need,
but that was a simple process, and it would take years to do that.
Because you have to build a new factory.
Building a new factory is, it sounds easy, but it's years of, just pouring all the concrete and getting it all working, and then getting all the little bits and bobs in place. It's a thing, and that's something simple. That's an A to D converter. That's not an iPhone. And, the thought that this is, it's going to take a decade. We've talked about this before. It's going to take a decade for Apple to have places, and that's if everything goes well, for them to really have any significant production outside of, let alone the United States, which is
so this puts Tim Cook between a rock and a hard place. Trump's trade advisor has accused Cook of not moving production out of China fast enough.
I'm afraid I don't agree with a lot of what Elon Musk does, but I will say that Navarro is an idiot.
Yeah.
He's just an idiot. I don't know how to, it's just hard to listen to his mouth open and shut and just not think, what an idiot. Every time he talks, he's an idiot, And so the idea that they should move faster than a decade, because that's as fast as this goes. If Apple started now, they could produce maybe 2% of their phones to make somebody happy a decade from now, 6 to 7 years after Trump is no longer there. Hopefully, I don't know. Who knows how long Trump will be there? But the issue is that by the problem that the Trump administration has is that that they're here for 4 years. Apple wouldn't even have the factory done in 4 years, to build a factory. So why, there's this huge problem for Apple is that you've got this idiot who thinks that it would ever happen in the United States. And then and he's saying, well, they got to go faster.
He says, this is the quote. He was talking to Jim Cramer. With all these new advanced manufacturing techniques and the way things are moving with AI and things like that, it's
spoken by someone who has never worked in manufacturing, never done any of these things, barely knows his own job, let alone other people's jobs. It's just a complete buffoon, a complete buffoon. I usually don't get into this on the show, but wow, is he a stupid person? It's just,
So it's ironic because I don't, we're talking about Apple here. This is Tim Cook's nightmare. He's getting pressure from, and one thing Trump and China agree on, I don't want you building in China. President Trump said, he told Tim Cook, I don't want you building in China. Well, neither do the Chinese. They don't want him building in India. I'm sorry, Trump said, I don't want you building in India, to which the Chinese said, yes. But unfortunately, then Trump said, I want you building in America, to which the Chinese said, hold my beer.
Yeah. I think I agree with Alex. Navarro is a charlatan and a fraud and a fake. And and he's got the ear of the most powerful man in the West. So that's great. But this quote I wanted to read: with all these new advanced manufacturing techniques and the way things are moving with AI and things like that, I'm going to make him like a Texas sheriff. It's inconceivable to me that Tim Cook could not produce his iPhones elsewhere around the world and in this country.
Think that word means what you think
gibberish.
It
is the closest I can. There's a genuine frontier gibberish.
He said inconceivable.
The closest thing I can liken this to is the dumbest quote ever in the recent era of tech, which is that was a Washington Post article, which was like, we could fix encryption by having the geniuses invent a secure golden key that is magical and that fixes encryption. And it's like, no. They're like, surely, you could solve math with being smart. And it's like, but it's math. What are you talking about? This is that level of nonsense. Yeah. It's like, you got the AI and things. You can make a phone in Iowa.
The AI will do it.
Can't. It's crazy. It's nonsense. It
actually makes you worry about their grasp of what AI is capable of, because they're putting more and more AI in the government. Now they want the Social Security Administration to run on AI. What could possibly go wrong? Oh, Lord. All right. So the tariffs, by the way, aren't not just in China. For instance, Macs and the Apple Watch, which are manufactured in Thailand, are going to be facing a new 36% tariff in Thailand. So you can't move it to Thailand. That starts August 1st.
Yeah. And again, even if you were going to move it to Thailand, it would be years.
Well, they're already making they're already making the watch and the Macs there.
But they got to bring the watch and the Macs back to the US from Thailand. I guess that's the idea here. I think what this shows is that if it was a strategy to have a permanent floating crap game where like you never know where your computer or your other Apple devices will come from, it could come from anywhere. And therefore wherever the tariffs move, we're not there. We're somewhere else. We're dodging. We're like, that's not going to work.
I should once again, for those who haven't been paying attention, point out the tariffs are not paid by Thailand or India or China. They're paid by us.
I think that the one thing I will say that I think Apple could probably do a better job of is they could just say, hey, we're opening a whole new factory in Phoenix and we're breaking ground in 6 months and we're going to spend $100 million on it or $300 million or whatever number makes people happy. And then they start laying the concrete out for it. By the time the administration is complete, they will have all the concrete and the building will be up. And then the new administration will come in, whoever that is, and they'll go, you know what? Like, we don't think the manufacturing really work here and we'll just put servers in, call it a day. Like the thing is they could just announce that they're doing some kind of factory and just start pouring concrete. They're going to use the building. And I just feel like doing an announcement that makes people happy. That seems to be all that really matters right now, is making announcements that seem useful. So, so I think that would be, if I was Apple, that's what I would do. Like, $100 million to make people happy is a lot less than tariffs, right? Or $500 million or $1 billion of something that you could possibly multi-purpose some other time, to something else. I just feel like they could go down that path. I think part of it is I don't know if Tim wants to stand next to the president again to talk about.
I think he has to. Unfortunately, that's your job, Tim. Sorry.
He's pretty good at it.
You have to kiss up.
Steve Jobs would never. When we always say, "What would Steve Jobs do?" He would never do any of this. It wouldn't.
He'd give him the middle finger, which would not be the right thing to do. I don't think.
People, and he'd be doing stuff, and it would.
So here's a good one. So Apple also makes AirPods, iPads, the Mac Mini in Vietnam. Oh, okay. Maybe that. Oh, wait a minute. Now, according to CNBC, Trump has announced a new trade deal with Vietnam that will increase Apple's costs because the tariffs, by the way, Trump continues to say Vietnam will pay. No, Apple pays these, There are now 2 tariffs on goods imported from Vietnam, a 20% one Apple will have to pay, or a 40% tariff if goods originate outside Vietnam before being shipped from Vietnam. So if you manufacture some components in China, send them to Vietnam so you can put the Mini together and then send it to the United States.
Yeah,
woohoo!
That was intended to close a loophole that they didn't like.
Right. So it's at least 20%. Trump says, it's my great honor to announce I have just made a trade deal with the Socialist Republic of Vietnam. One of two he's made. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm going to try to keep it from being salty, but the problem is the other thing that you can't do, Amazon has learned and car dealers have learned, is say this is the added cost here. That's the tariff that you're paying. You can't do that either. You have to somehow absorb it. Apple does have record high margins. Could they absorb it?
To some degree, but at some point, it doesn't pencil out. I mean, I think that everyone's trying to hold their breath with and absorb the tariffs, but at some point, what you do is you don't change the number from the number that you've already released, but the next product is more expensive. Right? The next product adjusts for it. That the way you hide all of this, and the way a new.
They haven't announced prices though for this fall lineup, right?
Right. So the thing is a new, you price in all of the stuff without saying that it's affecting, and then you just have general inflation problems, which then means that we have to keep the interest rates high.
Yeah.
So.
All right. I just thought I'd mention
it's math that's beyond the current.
Which might explain why Apple wants to do that new MacBook. I hope they call it the MacBook Nothing based on the iPhone chip. Maybe they can assemble that in the U.S. I don't know.
I know. I just think an announcement in concrete is all they need. Just announcement in concrete.
Yeah, just start building.
Start building something. It'll take.
I don't. You know what,
years.
Alex? I don't know if that'll work anymore. I think Trump's seen through that.
How can you? But the thing is, even if they were,
they already said they were going to spend $500 billion in the U.S. building factories, and that hasn't helped.
Even if they were earnest, they couldn't move it any faster than 4 years. It's not.
But they have to. Yeah.
I mean, or they could just build something that was building from literally.
Why don't they use AI to do it?
Or I know AI could figure this all out. But I think that barring letting AI figure this out, I would say you could build a factory in the United States that was making phones at a loss to make people happy for some period of time. These are all the dumb things that you might have to do to, okay, we have a factory that's making phones, and the phone could be making no money. It could be, putting out, X number of phones a week. And then but it's 1%. Phones losing money and being 1% of the output is probably, less than paying tariffs.
One of the challenges with this is, look, I think what these guys want is a world where companies like Apple, like auto manufacturers, can make products or assemble products in the U.S. That's what they want. And there's probably a way,
assuming that we could find enough people to make them.
Well, this is what they want. It's their ideal. They want that as the end goal.
By the way, it's a laudable plan. It's not that I don't want manufacturing to come back to the U.S.
It's a laudable plan. It's just not acclimated to reality.
Yeah. Right. So this is what I'm trying to say is that is their goal. Is look, it visualized a country in the United States where there are assembly plants for a great American company's products like Apple's products. Okay, how do you get there? And this is the truth of it, which is, even if you say, okay, there is a future in which it's a thing that we all want to have those assembly plants in the US, how do you get there? And the answer is, it's hard, it's expensive, it's complicated, and these guys aren't interested in any of that. They're just not. They're like, tariffs, make it happen, magical AI, whatever. And that's the problem with this, is that they have a vision and they have no idea how to get there, because they're not really. Are they really interested in getting there, or are they just really interested in rattling their sabers? I don't know.
In a way, though, isn't this karma coming to bite Apple in the keister? Because they were quite willing to move all the manufacture offshore.
But if you
China, not just Apple, every electronics company in the United States quite willingly moved, billions of dollars of manufacture.
But Leo, you read that book. There were so many different factors involving Apple ending up manufacturing so much in China. And a lot of it was the fact that the facilities elsewhere weren't doing a good job, were very expensive.
Right.
That's the problem with this.
They tried it in Texas. And
they have tried it, but it's very hard to do that for lots of reasons, including the historic standard of living in other parts of the world versus here, and the fact that the U.S. Really, if we want to go in a time machine, what happened is the United States got really comfortable with the idea that we didn't have to do.
We're a service economy.
We are a service economy. We didn't have to do $5 an hour factory jobs anymore because other parts of the world would do those for us, and we could have better paying jobs that were less backbreaking, and that was how we were going to do this, and that was like how the U.S. benefited from globalization. And so when you have people like Navarro saying, well, the good news is, or the Treasury Secretary saying, well, the good news is, you in the future your kids will just work in a factory and their kids will work at the same factory, as if that's a good thing. That's, pivoting on, 50, 70 years of American economic policy. If I'm Apple, I realized at some point that they will do exactly what came up earlier, which is they will start announcing new products. And Apple loves their slots. They love their $9.99 MacBooks. They love their, the iPhone spread at $7.99 and $9.99 and $11.99. And the next round will all be more expensive. And that'll just be how it'll be.
Yeah. What's hard to do is plan for the future when economic policy changes so dramatically, 180 degrees.
We can say that this caught up with Apple, but fundamentally, Apple wouldn't be here without what they did in China.
Not the Apple we know.
Not the Apple we know. So the trillions of dollars that they've made since then is going to pay for. If you look back on it, it wasn't a mistake to go down this path. It was a mistake.
No, they would have had to be clairvoyant, because this was a path Reagan wanted. This was a path everybody was suggesting. This was the future of the country
and the world.
And we did benefit. Globalization, we benefited a lot.
And let's not forget that this was also in the 90s. This was also considered a plan of here's how to turn communist China into something closer to a capitalist democracy.
Right.
And it worked until the current ruler.
That's true. That's a good point.
It was China was becoming an easier and easier place to be until
Xi Jinping.
Xi Jinping.
Yeah, kind of.
Kind of.
Well, meaning in the sense that when you read back at like what policy was in the 1990s, it was never going to be as successful as they imagined that it was going to be. That there was always going to be a turn where, hey, we're gonna keep communism and socialism like where it is. We're going to keep all of the good and all the bad. We are still going to be very, very difficult to deal with because we are, in fact, an independent nation with a couple of billion people in it. But thank you for giving us thank you for giving us economic security in a future.
And not to turn this into some kind of Sunday morning show as opposed to MacBreak, but the thing we also have to look at is with all the China stuff is that China's population bomb is exploding. Like they are upside down and inside out, and they are on fire. Like their hair is on fire. And so anyone who thinks that China is like calmly managing all of this, what Trump is doing is poking them in the eye while they're being eaten by an alligator. And so they're not going to respond well because they can't afford to lose anything right now because they are in so much trouble.
Dan Rather joining us here with we're homespun aphorisms everywhere.
I made that up right on the.
That was really good.
I thought that was
things Dan Rather would say for 100, please.
I watched a lot of Dan Rather.
Yep, that's right. That's my favorite Dan Ratherism was they say that if Texas is not the whole electoral enchilada, it's at least a very large taco. Okay.
Somebody get that guy another Peabody.
That's a good line.
92 election, I think. 96 election. If it's not the whole enchilada, it's a big taco. Great. Okay, it's good stuff. I love it. Homespun aphorisms.
Doing the best I can. I thought
it's very good. Yeah, no, you're right. It's fascinating. I have, I don't know. I part of me keeps thinking that in the end, it will be very hard for this administration to go hard at Apple because Apple is an American company and they have so many competitors, especially Samsung, that are outside the United States that could benefit by having the American government punish an American company. And that's why I keep thinking, like, I'm not sure how deeply committed they are to this. And they talk a good game. And I agree, putting some concrete and getting a shovel and saying we're breaking ground and showing, some product that was assembled at great expense but will never ship in high volume, I think they know that's fake.
They have to give them some face saving too, right?
Right. I think they know that's fake, but I think that they ultimately, if it gets them the visuals that they want and the narrative that they want, they may go around, because it hurts them. It hurts the administration if everybody's iPhones and Macs get more expensive. It hurts if Apple is seen to be suffering and that Samsung is advantaged due to moves by the American government. All of these things are actually bad for them. Now, they do lots of things that we look at and say that seems bad, but they still do them. But I keep thinking, like, ultimately Apple may get off a little lighter here in the long run, but in the short run, it feels like if I was at Apple, I would just be prepared for, not prepared for war, but like prepared for eating all the tariffs and, and raising all the prices and dealing with all of the fallout that comes from that politically and in terms of sales, because that's where we are.
They don't have a choice.
They don't.
And it may not even just be Apple and the Trump administration. These may be global title shifts that are happening anyway. And who knows? It's hard to resist the tide.
Sure, there's a lot, and the government can do bad things to your industry, right? Like, it's very. We've seen it now. With the new bill passing. So I guess it's a big, beautiful law now. It's completely devastating for anybody who sells electric cars, right? Because they've got it in for electric cars for some reason. And so by doing all of that and having tariff barriers, like the Chinese EVs are going to take over the world. And the only place where you won't have a lot of EVs is going to be in the United States, where we'll still be driving big gas cars made in America by American companies and some other companies too. But that industry just got smacked, and that's it. That can't happen. It seems weird to pick a fight with Apple. But yeah, that's where we are.
All right, let's take a break. That's where we are. Because in this great capitalist nation of ours, we still need to pay the bills. Jason Snell, Andy Anako, Alex Lindsay, it's great to have you. Great to have all of you as well. MacBreak Weekly continues. We'll get to more pleasant topics in just a moment, including a new AI model from Apple for coders. Our show today brought to you by Spaceship. Who doesn't love spaceships, right? This one is particularly cool. We've talked about it a few times here for good reason. It is quickly becoming one of the fastest growing domain name registrars, and I really think there's a great reason for it. Below market cost domain names, incredible hosting, virtual private servers, a lot of really sweet features. In fact, they just passed 3 million domains under management in less than 2 years. If you go to spaceship.com/twit, you'll see why. It is beautiful. It is beautiful. It is modern. And I think a lot of registrars are stuck still in the 90s. You don't get 3 million new domains in a couple of years without some real work. A clean, straightforward interface, innovative products and features. I've mentioned Thunderbolt. That is really cool. Nobody's done this yet. All the encrypted messengers right now require a phone number or an account, some sort of login that can ultimately be traced back to you. Thunderbolt works very differently. It's your domain name. You can, and by the way, for a business, isn't that great? You can communicate via your domain name, end-to-end encrypted messaging with Thunderbolt. As soon as I heard about it, I went right to spaceship.com/twit, registered Leos.im, right? Perfect. It's instant messaging. Leos.im. It cost me, I think it was like $4 a year for the domain, and I got Thunderbolt for free. Encrypted messaging using, that's all you need to know, Leos.im. And because I control that domain, no one else can use it. Another thing that really sets Spaceship apart, their low pricing. We're not just talking about new purchases here. A lot of people do that. Their renewal prices are also lower compared to other companies, making it a no-brainer. Look, you could see it right here on this comparison chart on their website, making it a no-brainer to consider transferring your existing domains. By the way, they make it easier to transfer your domains because you know how registrars kind of are sticky. If you've got a domain stuck with another registrar, transferring it to Spaceship is quicker and simpler than you might think. The transfer process is incredibly straightforward. It often completes within just 30 minutes. You don't need to wait for your current domain to expire. Once the transfer is complete, Spaceship will automatically add an additional year to your current registration. Oh, isn't that sweet? Plus, there's more. Yes, there's more. You'll receive a complimentary 1-year subscription to Spacemail, their incredible email system, giving you professional business email. So now there's really no reason not to move your business domains and your personal domains to Spaceship. And there are a lot of reasons to do it. To discover how much you could save compared to your current registrar, visit spaceship.com/twit and follow the link at the top of the page. Ready to switch and save? Transfer your domain to Spaceship today. Spaceship.com/twit. And if you do sign up for a domain and you set up Thunderbolt, message me at leos.im. I've been meeting some lovely people that way. Spaceship.com/twit. Could Apple be considering launching a public cloud? What does that even mean? A public cloud. This is the story here, right here, as soon as I can click it, from the information, which often has good inside information. This is Aaron Tilley writing. The service would run on Apple's chips, could potentially handle certain workloads. Oh, to compete with AWS. Could potentially handle certain workloads more efficiently than the major cloud players. Apple sees its cloud as potentially useful for tasks like artificial intelligence inference, the process of using pre-trained AI models to interpret new information. What do you think? Apple competing with Amazon and Google and Oracle and the rest?
Certainly not at the same scale.
They'd have to offer some secret sauce that the others
I think it would be as a service towards things that are more Mac related. I don't think it's like a general purpose cloud solution. That doesn't seem like the kind of thing Apple would do. So I think it's more of a, backing up other things that are related to it.
What's maybe one of the things they would offer is this weird new coding language model. Apple's kind of laggard, as we've talked about many times before, in AI, but they have their own models. And one of the hottest areas of AI right now is vibe coding, using AI to code, with whether it's Claude Code or ChatGPT has something. All of the companies do it. Apple has put a new AI model on Hugging Face, but it's not a Me Too. It's not just like the other ones. It's using something new that allows it to break up the answers into multiple pieces. So normally LLMs code kind of linearly. When you ask them something, this is a very good write-up, by the way, from Marcus Mendez at 9 to 5 Mac. When you ask them something, they process your question, predict the first token of the answer, then go through the question with the first token, predict the second token, and so on. So in other words, in a linear fashion. LLMs also have a temperature setting that controls how random the output could be. That's so that they don't say the same thing each and every time. A lower temperature means it's more likely to choose the most probable token. You get high, then you're going to have more fuzziness and more randomness. An alternative to this system is something called a diffusion model. In fact, Stable Diffusion, long-time image generation favorite, now replaced by some others. And you've seen it happen with Stable Diffusion. It starts with a noisy image, removes the noise, and steers it towards an actual image. So Apple's now doing this with DiffuCode 7B CPGRPO. Apple has a paper called DiffuCoder, Understanding and Improving Masked Diffusion Models for Code Generation. By allowing the temperature to increase the randomness, it becomes more flexible in the order of its token generation. So it's no longer a linear model, and apparently can generate higher quality code with fewer passes. This is not something you think of Apple being good at. Now, the base model is not an Apple model. It's QWen, the Alibaba model from China, which is also kind of interesting. QWen has its own coder. Do you say Quen or QN? I say QN, but if you say Quen, then I'll believe you. Diffucoder actually scores pretty well. Not as well maybe as the best coders out there, but it's in the ballpark. So good on you, Apple.
I was struggling. I was and still am struggling to understand exactly all the technical stuff about this. But I was reading about I was people who are like actually in this business who are talking about it on Reddit and other public forums were saying that they're doing that. They're saying that they're doing things that are similar to what you see in Gemini, but they did say that this is something fresh and this is an interesting new.
This is what happens. This is where you got DeepSeek. When companies can't compete head to head, they try often different things, and sometimes it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Apple, this from the article 95, has been laying the groundwork for its generative AI efforts with some pretty interesting and novel ideas, and this is one of them.
Yeah, and it's how many weeks in a row have we seen the Apple Intelligence Research Group release an interesting paper that doesn't simply say, oh, here's what our version of something is, but hey, we've got this paper that basically says that deep learning models don't actually work when you apply puzzles to them. Like week after week after week, we've been seeing these kind of papers that are easy to turn into a headline. I'm not saying that their research isn't genuine. I'm just saying it's interesting that now I believe that I wonder if Apple has some sort of a little like internal motivation to say we're not going to be able to release anything to the public for a while yet. Let's make sure that we're keeping ourselves in the headlines as an actual participant in this race to create really interesting and really useful AI. We are actually doing the foundational work towards all these features that we're trying to build.
I mean, I think the hard part for Apple is that they're not ready to start paying $15 million a year for some of their researchers. They're not seen as leaders in AI. They're not, and so the hard part is just the brain drain of, they lost one of their top folks.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in a second. Yeah.
And so, but I just don't think that, so I think that they have to do something to kind of, if it's not so much that they need to do something right now, but how do you keep moving forward if you keep losing most of your best talent?
What was it? The slogan for Avis when Hertz was the #1 rental car? We're number 2. We try harder.
Yeah.
If you're number 12, you might try even harder. Diffucoder is available on Hugging Face. Hugging Face is great because you can try all these different models on their servers. It's not a giant model. It's a 7B model, 7 billion parameters. So it's not a very powerful model. So it's an interesting thing if they can use, some novel techniques to get great performance. Now, let's talk about the departure, because this is an example of how it's really hard when you've got somebody like Mark Zuckerberg writing giant checks. It can be very challenging to keep up. Zuck has stolen an Apple researcher by writing a really big check, tens of millions of dollars a year. We'd heard this.
I mean, if you're a researcher, this is your
Why
moment.
not?
This is your moment. And
how did Apple get him? They stole him from Google by doing the same thing, right?
Just not as big.
Yeah. Roming Pang, who manages Apple's foundation models team, that's pretty important, is going to Meta. He was in charge of a team of 100 employees that work on Apple's large language models. According to Bloomberg, Meta lured Pang with a deal worth tens of millions of dollars per year, which they've also been doing to OpenAI, much to Sam Altman's chagrin, Anthropic, and Scale AI. Scale AI, they basically bought the company. And there's some question about whether Mark got what he paid for when Meta bought the company, but Mark got what he paid for when he bought Scale AI.
Meta's willing to do this. I think that the hard part is that the inflation across an entire company, if you can't just go and start talking to everyone that's in your AI and say, hey, how about we increase your pay by 10x or 100x or whatever of what it was before, without having, what about all the other people coding all the other things all over the company, start to feel like suddenly that, there's a morale issue. There's a whole process there that I think is super difficult for most of these companies to kind of to like manage inside of that conversation. Meta's decided, they're going to go for it, but I'm not sure if
they
all
got
the other companies will follow along.
An Apple distinguished engineer, which is a pretty high level guy. Bloomberg says the takeaway from Mark Gurman: Pang's departure could be the start of a string of exits from the AFM group, with several engineers telling colleagues they're planning to leave in the near future to go to Meta or elsewhere. It's hard to turn down all that money. Can Apple say, okay, we'll meet that?
Well,
I just don't think they can. I don't think they can, because they can. You can do anything once, but you can. But I think that the problem that they have is, again, it opens up all these cans of worms all across the company of all these people working on quote unquote important projects, and how much. They're all getting paid pretty well, but they're going to want a lot more if you start paying people tens of millions of dollars a year.
Yeah.
And also remember that the benefits to Apple of this kind of investment aren't nearly as great as they would be to Meta or OpenAI or to anyone who is trying to do AI as a service, or basically running cloud compute AI for endless lines of customers. Apple's really their majority of the focus is always going to be on-device AI. Let's make sure we can sell more iPhones, sell more iPads. If it also means that if these discussions about having some sort of a cloud AI, cloud compute service come to fruition, that's nice too. They have all these wonderful in-house AI chips that they can put into play, but it's always going to be the priority is going to be on-device AI. They're not going to be the company that comes up with the most amazing image generator. They're not going to be the company that creates the next great movie is going to be made using Apple video generative AI. That's not what. So they're not going to get that kind of payback from spending hundreds of millions of dollars on personnel. So unfortunately, that means that they can't really keep these people in a seller's market for labor. You just got to let people go.
Also, I don't know, because they're a black box. I don't know what's going on inside of Apple, and I don't know who these people are. But I find it disingenuous when there are reports that about how Apple is behind and how Apple's models aren't good enough. And then there are also reports about, oh no, Apple is losing senior executives who have been in charge of building its models, and that's a brain drain for Apple. Because one of those is probably not true, right? Like, this is the thing. Is this a loss? Is this person wonderful? And the reason that Apple's models aren't up to snuff is because they've been beaten down by the man and haven't executed. Or is it that Apple looks at somebody like, because here's the thing is, you might not want to meet the goal of, the offer of somebody like Meta, but I can put it the other way, which is, if it's somebody who you don't think is worth it, you don't try to match their offer, you let them walk. And I don't know whether this person is brilliant or not, but I can say this: if one of Apple's issues is that their models haven't been that great, paying lots of money to keep the people who have been building the not great models doesn't make sense. And I think Andy makes a very good point, which is, you want a team at Apple who is devoted to building great AI models using Apple's priorities. And I think that's an important way to view this, which is, Apple is going to prioritize on-device models. And they're going to prioritize maybe models tuned for developers, right? Like tuned for developers and their developers and to work with Xcode. But like, number one is running on an iPhone. That's their number one goal. And if that doesn't appeal to you and you'd rather be dealing with a giant cloud model, then maybe you shouldn't be at Apple. Apple needs talented people to build models for them. But I don't think it's existential necessarily if Apple ends up being a company that builds really good, efficient models that run on its devices, and then it partners with companies that have big open cloud models to do big open world knowledge cloud jobs. I think that is okay. So my point is, we can't really know, but I think it's very weird to be in a position where we're lamenting Apple being behind on models and also lamenting that they lost somebody who is key in developing their models. Like, I don't know what the truth is there, but sometimes you let them go because you don't want to pay to keep them.
Yeah.
Gurman's presumption is that morale is sinking at Apple's Foundation model team because of this, we're going to look over at Anthropic and ChatGPT. Maybe we'll use their
There are a lot of
models.
possibilities.
Yeah, I mean, morale is low when you lost, right? I mean, morale is low when you lost. And if the perception is that they have to go to an external vendor to get a model because your model's not good enough, I have to say that's probably because your model's not good enough. Otherwise, they would use it. And that, I understand morale could be low, but like that's not Craig Federighi's and the rest of the people in that team. It's not their job to hurt Apple's products in order to promote their own fundamentally weak set of models if they believe that they're weak. So like this is again, you don't want an exodus of AI talent, but if the AI talent you've got's not doing the job and it's not because of bad management, then you need to recast. And there are ways to do that. There are ways to motivate the people in that team and say, look, we are only going to use an external model for Siri in the short term because our model's not up to speed, but that's your challenge, is get it up to speed because we rather use, this is Apple, we want to use our own model. But right now, for the next year or two, it's not going to be your model, and that's your goal. And that if that demotivates people, then I think so be it, but I think that's how they have to play it.
Yeah, it's an interesting. Tim has to fight on many fronts these days. It's an unpleasant thing to say, but one way to read this situation is that the people building Apple's AI models have failed. Yeah. And that an exodus and a rebuilding of that team with a new alignment and new management is maybe what they have to do. So be it. But again, it also could be the opposite. It could be that the leadership at the high level, John Gianandrea perhaps, or even above him, to Tim, maybe they've been horribly mismanaged and they've had enough and they're going to leave. And that's also a possible scenario here. But when you get stuff being ripped out of one group and placed in another group with new management because things have gone badly, this stuff's going to happen. This stuff's going to happen.
Yeah. I didn't, insert your own word there for stuff.
Stuff's going to happen.
Stuff happens, as they say.
It's a bumper sticker, as they say. Let's take a little break. We will have more in just a little bit with a very smart panel. Jason Snell, Andy Iannacco, Alex Lindsay. It's their expertise we count on to break down what is really happening, because there's a lot happening. It's a very interesting world as we live in. More to come in just a bit, but first a word from our sponsor, 1Password. I know you know 1Password. But did you know 1Password could help you with shadow IT? Over half of IT pros say that securing SaaS apps is their biggest challenge. With the growing problems of SaaS sprawl in your business and shadow IT, it's not hard to see why, but thankfully, Trellica from 1Password can discover and secure access to all your apps, managed or not. Discover and secure access to all of your apps, managed or not. Trellica by 1Password inventories every app in use at your company. And then pre-populated app profiles assess SaaS risks, letting you manage access, optimize spend, and enforce security best practices across every app your employees use. Now you can manage shadow IT. You can secure, it's got some other benefits like securely onboarding and offboarding employees. And it also meets compliance goals. Trellica, Trelica, by 1Password, I know you know how to spell that, provides a complete solution for SaaS access governance. It's just one of the ways that 1Password's extended access management helps teams strengthen compliance and security. 1Password's award-winning password manager, trusted by millions of users and over 150,000 businesses from IBM to Slack. And now they're securing more than just passwords with 1Password Extended Access Management. 1Password is ISO 27001 certified with regular third-party audits and the industry's largest bug bounty. 1Password exceeds the standards set by various authorities and is a leader in security. Take the first step to better security for your team by securing credentials and protecting every application, even unmanaged shadow IT. Learn more at 1password.com/MacBreak. That's 1Password.com/MacBreak, all lowercase. And you can see there's a video there that'll explain everything Trellica can do. It's very cool. 1password.com/MacBreak. Thank you, 1Password, for supporting MacBreak Weekly. Let's start talking about iPhone 17 because they're manufacturing them right now at a secret location somewhere in Asia. Yes?
What do you think about sky blue phones?
Are they going to be sky blue? We're getting all these.
That was
rumors now.
That was one of the rumors about the iPhone 17 Air. That's a fantastic new color that we haven't seen. Like, okay, so
I'm tempted by the Air. I mean, I don't feel the need for a new iPhone, but I guess I got to get one. And one of the things about the Air that makes it interesting is it is different. It's thinner, poorer battery life as a result, probably.
Poor battery life, probably. Let's hope that whatever work they've been doing in developing the folding iPhone, they've figured out how to make thin hardware that's not going to break in your pocket. The camera system is not going to be as good. It's probably not going to be any bargain. You can imagine that it'll be at least as expensive as a regular iPhone without quite the same features, build quality, camera. So
here's a nice AI picture of what at least the Pro is going to look like, with a different location for a little lower location. I mean, it's silly that this is what we're talking about for the MagSafe charging, and a new camera bump that is even more aggressive. That's why the MagSafe's a little lower.
I'm pretty excited about the bigger camera bump. I've always been like, give me an extra 3 millimeters if it will make the cameras that much better. If the optics will be that much clearer, that much better, whatever you can do to improve the camera, it's fine. By the time almost everybody puts it in a case. Maybe I shouldn't say almost everybody, but the thing is, it's the great thing about camera bumps is that, like, when you put it in a case, it's no longer a bump. And by the time if you spend that much money for a phone, I'm putting it in.
Will this with this slim iPhone 17 it'll also have a bump? So it'll be slim below. It'll still be stacked up top. Is that what it's?
According to the renders, yeah, it'll have a horizontal bar, just like the Pixel. It's like it's.
Oh yeah.
I feel like with the Pro version of whatever they decide to call it. I just feel like they could just get rid of the bump and just give us more battery and storage. Like this is the Pro model. Like that you have all.
You'd have to make the whole thing thicker. You're saying make the whole thing thicker.
Just give me more battery and like have it last. Because right now it's generally my phone lasts a day. From when I get up to when I go to bed. If I decide to do any production with it, actually shooting real footage, it lasts a couple hours. Like it'll chew that right up. So as a Pro phone, and speaking as someone who uses it in a Pro environment every once in a while, it'd be really great if they just gave us a different phone that was heavier, bigger. We don't care, and it would move Apple a lot further forward with all of this production stuff that they want to do.
Yeah, I think it occurred to me the other day that Apple never got into the edition phones. That never got into hey, here's the super deluxe ceramic edition, just like the way they dabbled with that with the Apple Watch, where we're going to make some lines in better finishes, better materials, better luxury. And I'm perfectly fine with Apple. Apple does design so well, and their customers are not unwilling to part with a dollar. And so if there's a company that can do things like a slim phone or a folding phone and say, you know what, this costs a little bit more, but the styling on it is something that we think is really, really nice. Just like 100 years ago, people would spend money on a Tiffany cigarette case because it's part of what they put in their pockets every single day, and they want something beautiful and distinctive that reflects their tastes. I'd love to see Apple kind of go in that direction.
Rumor from Instant Digital on Weibo today, confirming something that Wayne Ma on the information said in November of last year, is that the titanium is going to give way on the 17 Pro to aluminum, with glass on the back for part aluminum, part glass for the MagSafe charging, and I guess for antennas as well. Aluminum lighter and cheaper than titanium. So, this might be another response to tariffs, is maybe we cut costs in some areas. There is a rumor from another source that it will be the 17 Air will have a mix of titanium. I don't know what that means. So I like titanium. It's pretty light. It seems like it's a little tougher than aluminum.
Anything that helps MagSafe is going to be good.
Yeah. New dynamic island. According to a post from Digital Chat Station, another rumor mill yesterday. Although, these I think are fairly, this is what we'd expect as the supply chain starts to get their hands on these things, as they're starting to make them. The new dynamic island, well, we don't know. The account said, it didn't say any specific details about the changes, just that there would be changes. Maybe smaller? I don't know. Maybe bigger? Could be.
Yeah.
What does it change? I don't know.
I just hope they keep it. Like
I love the dynamic. It's funny. They made a virtue out of a necessity with that hole punch.
I will honestly say I was just thinking today that like if I had to come up with a list of the 10 most just design genius moves that Apple has made, where it's not just, hey, isn't it convenient? Isn't it nice that they managed to fit this into this chassis? But solving a problem in a way that is profound and elegant, and again, it takes a perceived negative and turns it into an actual feature. I can't think of something that would dislodge that from the top 5 list. And so we've seen so many in the Android space. So many display manufacturers trying to say, "Oh, look, we've got like the cameras now completely underneath the display, so you don't have any holes or any notches or anything like that." Apple has completely negated that whole problem by saying, "Well, again, we're gonna make this into part of the user interface, so that it actually looks like something magical is happening with something that would be otherwise perceived as wasted space."
What other rumors do we have? This is an interesting rumor. Apple pauses work. This is from Digitimes on the foldable iPhone. Foldable iPad, because they're so happy about their foldable iPhone.
Yeah, foldable iPhone looks like maybe is going to happen next year. The iPad thing. Now, here's the thing. This is the product that nobody can make any sense of, because it's like, is it an iPad? Is it a MacBook?
Right.
It's huge, so it's like it folds, then it's like a laptop. But it's running iPadOS. What does that mean? I'm not surprised that they're like, yeah, let's hold off on that one and focus on this iPhone that makes sense and that will probably sell a bunch of it.
We're pretty sure they're going to do a foldable something, because they're buying those the screens from Samsung.
No, the foldable iPhone, it sounds like is kind of a done deal, and it's going to be an iPhone that can fold open into something that's more like an iPad mini, which, again,
that's a good thing.
One of the great things about this is that they have that existing stack of an operating system that can run apps in multiple windows or in split screen, and also take up the extra space. And like they've got that part of it. So if they can make a pleasing foldable phone interface, I think that makes sense. This larger object, it was really unclear kind of like what it even is supposed to be. So it wouldn't surprise me that they're like, that's years out. Let's not worry about it.
The Digital Times report had 2 bits in it, one of which that they're putting the foldable iPad aside for all of those smart reasons, partly that hasn't been any demonstration in the marketplace that anybody really wants this. I'm a big fan of foldables. I think the idea of being able to transport like a 14-inch tablet in the space of like a paperback book is very, very appealing to me, but that might be just an Andy feature. But the other part of the story was that the foldable iPhone has gone into P1, so they got first prototype status, and which is the next step along towards actually producing like a manufacturable product. And again, this is exactly the sort of thing that I think that Apple should be doing. This is Samsung is their big event is this week. I think it's tomorrow in New York City. And one of the things that they seem to be working on is not just the next generation of their own folding phone, which has made leaps and bounds. It's now like a very, very practical, for people who can afford it, it's a very, very practical and usable thing. Not quite durable, I would say, compared to a regular phone, but durable enough that if you take care of your toys, you don't necessarily have to be afraid of it. But now they're making tri-fold ones, so that it is a somewhat chunky pocket phone, phone that unfolds into something the size of like a 10-inch iPad. And that is very, very much in line with my interests. I don't know that if I would have $2,500 to spend on such a thing, but there are people who would be willing to spend $2,500 on such a thing.
Why are
so
you
I'm
looking
glad
at
to
me
see,
like that? That's not nice.
I want you to buy it and tell me about it. I'm so Apple, the stacks, rumors stacking up about the foldable iPhone include things like they wanted to solve the problem of we don't want to have that ditch in the middle of the screen where the hinge is, which I don't think is a huge, it's not a deal breaker, but leave it to Apple to say, well, no, that's definitely an aesthetic downgrade, and we don't want to do that. I'm sure they also had problems with durability. Earlier models had problems where you can't make the surface of the screen as durable as a normal smartphone, as normal flagship phone. Those are probably things that they're also waiting to address. But once again, Apple is a company that it's not going to be a cheap phone. It's going to be at least a $2,000 phone, guaranteed, because these panels are really super expensive. But there are people in the Apple ecosphere specifically that are very much willing to spend money on something like that. And I'm the sort of person who would the number of times where I've said I could get away with an iPad mini and a phone for this entire weekend. If I have the kind of scratch where I could say, what if my iPhone were an iPad mini? What it could be that? What if I have that? Then
I wondered that way back in the day. Like if I could put software on there that could take phone calls, couldn't an iPad mini be a phone if you had cellular?
Sure, except they don't do it that way. The phone app will be on there.
Zoom on there or something and give
you could. But
back in the day when I had a phone number from Skype, I could have done it. I don't know if there's.
I'm with Andy though about this. Like, it's not for everybody, but is there a use case where you say, oh, I kind of like my iPad, but I also have to have an iPhone,
right?
And then suddenly you're like, wait a second, what if it's one thing? If it fits your needs to be able to have your phone and then you unfold it wherever you're going and you've got a little iPad, is really, it'll be super expensive, right? More expensive probably than buying a phone and an iPad mini, but you have it, but it's just
people
one
buy
device.
the Samsung Fold and it's like $2,000.
Yeah, exactly. And there would be a benefit to it. It'd be pricey, but there would definitely be a benefit to it.
Outside of, I guess I'll still say that outside of press that have to cover this and people that are really, I just don't know anybody that bought a folding phone twice.
Well, that's what I want to ask. How many of you? I have had a number of Samsung folding phones. I have the Flip right now, and I like that because it's small, not because it's big. But I've also had the bigger Fold and so forth. And I'm sorry, but that Fold still bothers me. The crease.
Every time I see it, someone will show it to me. Hey, look at it. And they open it up, and I'm like, there's a thing in the center that I would not be able to.
And you feel it, and you see it. It also, in order to make that work, the screen has to feel rubbery. It doesn't. It's not. Doesn't feel. It's not glass because it's got to have a coating. A screen protector on it. So I feel like I like glass screens. I cannot lie.
Yeah. It would be bad if that were the entire ecosystem. But again, as part of a product line,
yeah, it makes sense. There are people that want it.
I do know the thing is it's not a general audience sort of thing. I do know people who have who were early adopters who then replaced it with another folding phone and who lust after like some of the stuff that's coming out of Huawei that they can't buy. Right. So there are people for whom this is a solution to a problem, and they are very glad to be able to pay the money
what they're
for
saying
it.
Apple would do is not what this Flip is, which is a regular size phone that folds up into a tiny phone, but it would be a regular size fold that unfolds into a larger phone, like the Fold.
Okay. Yes, exactly. Right. So you've got an iPhone most of the time, and then when you get to your destination or you're in your seat on the plane or whatever, you unfold it, and now you've got an iPad mini, basically.
Okay. And interestingly, one of the sessions in WWDC was essentially a message to developers that we are no longer going to help you out if you make apps that cannot simply resize themselves to fit in any arbitrary display they've been painted into. We are no longer going to help you out and make your dumb app look good in the middle of this display. Here's what you're going to have to do in order to fix all this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, a big part of that, I know what you're going to say, which is certainly works for this rumor, but it also has a direct, immediate impact, which is in iPadOS 26 in multi-window mode, it no longer is doing like resizing stops. You can resize to any point along the way. And if an app is bad at that shape, too bad. You better make it work.
This was something that that Microsoft struggled with when they had that 2-screen fold. Google struggled with when they've made the first Android tablets. It is, non-trivial, right?
Yeah, but I think Apple's OS has an advantage here in that they've had iPad apps for so long, and this is rumored to be 4x3, and that they also have the existing ability. It used to be in the current OSs, it's side by side, but in the new OS, in the multi-window view, you can just, flip and get a 2-up, which if you've got a folding screen is going to be one on one side and one on the other. Plus arbitrary window. And I would imagine that all of that stuff would get picked up on a folding phone from Apple, is that they would pick up essentially iPadOS would be what would be running when you unfold the phone.
Yeah. Okay. I don't think I'm going to buy it. Sorry, Andy.
Yeah. Okay. I'll tell you, I always travel. I always travel with an iPad, and you've got to have a phone with you, right? So if I was traveling a lot, I would seriously consider a product like this, because it would get me, my iPad would be with me in my pocket at all of the time. And right now that's not the case, but it's a, like Andy said, it's not for everybody, but the beauty of there was that moment where they, which was coming up 11 years ago, where Apple did the iPhone 6 and they did the 6 in 2 sizes. And not only was that big because it was the first big iPhone, but then they did the bigger iPhone on top of it. And one of the things that has really happened in the last 5, 6, 7 years is Apple has really embraced that of it's a product line. And like, we're not making, now they're up to 4 different models a year. And with the ePhone, probably 5 models a year, 1 in the spring. And they may spread that out even further, but the rest of them are in the fall right now. And like, once you've got 5 iPhones, it's like what Samsung learned. Once you've got 5, 6 models, you can afford to do a model that is going to be really expensive. You're going to make a lot of money on each one you sell, but the volume's not going to be huge. It's okay when there are 5 or 6 models.
Yeah.
I also finally have to say that I do think that the iPhone 17 Air, I have to believe that if and when it comes out, that's part of the research that went into the folding phone, because they had to figure out how do we put this on a slab that is super, super thin, because we can't make this twice the thickness of an iPhone.
They get chonky.
It's brilliant.
When you fold them.
It's a brilliant. When the Air rumor started happening, that was my initial thought was, oh, this is how they get to a folding phone. Is first off, do an entire cycle devoted to making things as thin as possible, and then the next cycle you've got a 2-plane thing that unfolds, and then you've got your folding.
There's your clue.
Phone.
It's a trail of crumbs.
The Air is like step 1, and then step 2 is folding phone, and but that Air again, the same thing. That Air is going to be one of 4 iPhones this fall, and it's not going to be for everybody. And your priorities have to be very specific to get it. But I think it's going to be cool and interesting, and is going to be great for some people, and for everybody else, all the other iPhones are still available.
Yeah. And, in the past, I've kind of made fun of like, oh, hey, thank goodness now my MacBook Pro is 2 millimeters thinner. Now I can I used to have to leave 6 pages of a comic book behind because I couldn't fit it into my laptop bag. But now I've got room for 8 comic book pages. But the thing is, when you've got something that you hold in your hand all the time, it's amazing how much lighter a thinner device just feels.
Yeah.
And it's not a trivial thing. So I'm not making fun of that at all.
It's how I feel. I mean, we talked about this a lot when the new iPad Pros came out, and they were, Apple's thinnest iPads ever. And it's like, did we need that? I'll tell you, I have the 13-inch. I have the big one. And I use it in a case. And then sometimes I put it in the Magic Keyboard. But then there's a lot of times when I'm kind of going in between and I just have it. And there's no case on it. And it's just so great to hold. And it's like, I know it's 13 inches, it's huge this way, but it's so thin, and therefore it feels so light, even because it's spreading that weight across all of that. It's kind of, again, it's a thing that can make your product feel great. It isn't necessarily a thing that should override other important aspects of the product, but having that in the back of your mind of like, we could make it really thin, like, I'm not opposed to that. That can work.
That's the tagline for this show. Jason has the big one, and it's so great to hold.
I got the big one.
Jason Snell, Andy Anako, Alexander Lindsay. I know, I have the big one too. I like the big one a lot. I use it for it's like my Obsidian entry thing, and I read all my news articles on it. Yeah, it's a really nice little tool.
I would hold up mine to the camera, but it is what I'm using for this Zoom call.
Don't hold up your big one. No.
As my external display. Yes.
Yes. You're watching MacBreak Weekly. You might be sorry at this point, but you are. The Vision Pro segment is coming up. Prepare yourself.
What?
And a little tip, if you are not yet a member of the club, what are you waiting for? Club Twit is such a great thing. When we started Club Twit 4 years ago, really we kind of needed to. We were in the middle of COVID. Advertising was drifting away, and we thought, well, you know what? Let's have the audience fund the show. That seems like the best way to go anyway. It was what I always wanted to do. Well, fast forward 4 years, 25% of our operating costs come from the club. The club makes it possible for us to do so much. We've got this great Discord where you can hang out and have fun and talk with other like-minded geeks, which is always great. You can watch the shows in the club and chat with us there too, which is kind of nice. That's what they're doing right now. We also started putting together so many great events for the club. Our AI user group and our photo show are coming up this Friday. Chris Marquardt will be reviewing pictures of quirky. That's our word of the month, and talking about the latest photo news. He's always a lot of fun. And then our AI user group immediately afterward. And I'm not sure what we're going to talk about, but it's always a great way to learn about how others are using AI. I want to talk about local models because I'm getting more and more interested in running my own AI in the house. So that may be one of the topics. Micah's Crafting Corner is the following Wednesday. A great chance to kind of chill and make something. Micah's working on Lego. I've done it with cooking and coding and knitting, and it's been crocheting. The book of the month is, I think, really interesting. I just finished it. This is How You Lose the Time War. It's our Stacy's Book Club pick for August 8th. Join the discussion. It's not a long book. It'll be easy for you to read in plenty of time for a month from now, August 8th. This is How You Lose the Time War. I listen to the Audible version, which I recommend because it's two different. It's an epistolary novel.
Two narrators. It's a great book. It's
beautiful. Oh, you know it, yeah.
Beautiful writing. Yeah, we covered that in The Incomparable a while ago.
Beautifully written.
Just a beautifully written book, and both of those writers are excellent.
The readers, yes. Their voices are a little too close. It took me a while to realize there were two different women going back and forth. But it's one of those books where it's letters back and forth, but in a very interesting sci-fi environment. And at first I thought, I don't like it. But it really grows on you.
Yeah.
And by the end, it's like, oh, don't end. No.
And it is Amal El-Mohtar and Max Gladstone, who are both really great writers on their own.
Oh, two writers. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. It's two writers. So it's two characters. It's two readers. It's two writers. And it's beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful books I've read in the last
split the letters.
decade.
Yeah, it's so beautiful.
I would imagine that they split the letters and then cross worked on the other person's
work.
There's
a lot of wordplay.
It's gorgeous.
A lot of cultural references.
Yeah,
and it really is beautiful prose. It's good. I'm glad you liked it. If you want to, I'll extend the invitation again. If you want to join the book club, it's gonna. You're welcome to.
I did that for Service Model. Maybe
I know you did.
If I'm around, yeah.
Yeah, if you're around, please. We would love to have you. And of course, all of you would love to have you. But there's a thing you have to do first. Jason's already done it. You have to join the club. Twit.tv/clubtwit. There's a 2-week free trial if you want to do that. There's of course, a single person's plan, but also family plans and enterprise plans. Please join the club. Twit.tv/clubtwit. We just want to have you in there. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the Vision Pro segment.
What do you see? What do you know? It's time to talk to Vision Pro.
Take that, Apple.
What other
#1 Vision Pro.
That's
segment.
right. It is time once again, ladies and gentlemen, for the #1 Vision Pro segment on the #1 Vision Pro podcast in the world. And now your host, you know him, you love him. He doesn't like the Vision Pro. It's Leo Laporte.
I didn't say I don't like it. I don't have one. Dan Morin has one. That's story number 1.
Not that he's bitter.
I
Well, you
could have
returned
bought
it.
one.
Yeah.
We bought one for Micah, and I tried it, and then we sent it back.
And you sent it back.
We didn't see any real need.
You're not
for it.
unusual in that.
I think more and more, I might be coming around on the Vision Pro. There's maybe not.
That's cool. I mean, it's for nerds like us. I'll just say it one more time because I always say this. It reminds me of the early days of personal computers where it's like it costs what and it does nothing, but it's the future. I'm like, okay, that's what the Vision Pro feels like. Every time I'm constantly searching for reasons to wear it, but once I put it on,
you're happy.
I don't want to take it off. I want to find more things to do, and my frustration is there isn't more to do.
And that's what I think that some developers miss is that they're like, well, the market's really small, and you're like, okay, but there's a bunch of us that just keep wanting to buy something. like we're like, we spent a bunch of money, we're willing to pay for things. But
tens of people are willing to buy.
Well,
tens, maybe dozens.
Here's what I think is the hard part: is it's hard to know how to get to those folks. So there's a 400,000 people, but how do you aggregate them so that you can actually let them know that? Because if someone told me, the problem is you go up to the App Store and there's a lot of stuff there that I already have. I mean, I have usually in the App Store, almost everything says open on it because I bought
all of it.
Download
there are a
all
lot
of
of
the
Vision
things,
Pros on eBay. I wonder, and it's $1,000 less if you buy it on eBay. Do you think a used one? I should probably get it from Apple.
No, I mean I wouldn't pay full price for it. I mean,
yeah,
I think that probably those
$21.99
on eBay are lightly used. Is my guess.
Yeah.
They're lightly used.
There's a little dust, a little layer of dust on them.
One of the rumors is that they're going to refresh it at some point, maybe the end of the year or beginning of next year with the M5. I'm not sure it'll make much difference because it doesn't feel slow in any way at all. It may just be that literally they don't want to, they don't want to use the M2 anymore. So they're going to stick an M5 in it. But I find it interesting, and I think it's a really good operating system, and it's just in a product that costs too much, and there's not enough software for it yet. So it's like every time I put on the Vision Pro, I have a good time. My problem is getting a reason to put it on.
Right. I understand that. I do. I really do.
It's a shame.
Apple we maybe now know how Apple improved the avatars in the Vision Pro. It turns out in January, they bought a 3D avatar company called True Meeting. You think this is the source of the improved avatars?
Could be.
It could be that it probably isn't their technology. It was probably the people that they brought, oftentimes
it's an Israeli company. They did obtain their 3D avatar tech stack and hired a number of its employees. So it could well have been both. I don't know.
It is remarkable. I mean, this is the story of the Vision Pro, is that they didn't just ship it and forget it. Remember, those initial personas were creepy and not good and dead-eyed dolls. And the new one in 26, it's so good. It's amazing. The only thing creepy about it is how they do that. But it's not. It's coming out of the uncanny valley. So if they did buy that company to do that, then kudos to them. But because the output in Vision OS 26 is it's just night and day better. It's so much better.
How many different angles did Dan Morin's wife have to try to get the spooky eyes looking so good?
It's pretty good, right? I think that's the best spooky eye shot I've seen of all. Those are his eyes. It actually
looks like
decent.
you're seeing through the visor.
Yeah, right. It's it's hard to do. I've never seen what mine look like.
Yeah,
never. So good to Dan's wife for doing that.
You don't want to creep yourself out. Yeah.
No.
He says, so this past week I've spent some time mixing it up in a bunch of different places: the beach, the lake, even the desert. The beach, the lake, even the desert. The beach. Are you getting it? These aren't 3 locations. It's just one. Nice callback, Dan.
Yeah.
So he loves it.
Yeah, he's having fun playing with it. He's never used it outside of a 30-minute demo. So it's it's going to be an interesting test case because it's somebody who's been plopped down with Vision OS 26 who's never used the Vision Pro before, essentially, and sort of I'm enjoying his reactions. He texted me today. He's like, Dropbox still doesn't have an app for the Vision Pro. I'm like, I know. It's so frustrating. And it's good to get a sense, because I've been sort of taking the slow path like Alex, where we've been, using it since it came out. And it's really fascinating to have somebody who really is up on the tech but hasn't used this particular product. It would be the same as if you, Leo, or you, Andy, or, my friend John Siracusa or somebody like that suddenly got handed a Vision Pro and said, here, use this and tell me what you think. It's like, it would be really interesting to find out what a brain that has not been, injected with things in their eyes for 18 months and just as fresh could look at Vision OS 26 and go, here are the things they noticed that we all nod our heads at, and here are the things they noticed we're like, I hadn't really thought about it that way. So it's fun.
And there's always the, hey, you don't have to reach out. Like when everyone starts up, you're like, you just
you just keep it subtle. Keep it down here.
Keep it
you don't have to. Although there's no cameras pointing backward, I find that I'm trying to do gestures back here sometimes. I'm like, that's not. They can't see me back here. I got to come back up here. But it's. I'm glad he did that. That's a totally random thing. So he'll be writing those for a little while in 6 colors, a little diary of his things that he's noticed as he uses it, which is kind of fun to see a fresh take on it.
I'm going to admit, I'm not hiding this, but I don't have stereo vision, so it's probably never going to be something I like. I did have a MetaQuest. In fact, I had all the Oculuses right up through the MetaQuest Pro, and I'm able to use them. I mean, I'm able to do it, but it's not completely comfortable for me because normally I only use one eye at a time.
Right.
So
and Alex was about to say something that I think is relevant here, which is one reason you would choose to use this is because if you are watching like a movie or a TV show alone, it's great. We did a podcast last week. It's coming out in a couple weeks about Das Boot, the classic German submarine movie, 3 hours of submarines. And my wife and I could not coordinate the time to watch that together. So I just watched it myself in Vision Pro on a giant screen, and like it looks so good. Like it does not
the grain.
Yeah,
like
it does. It's not pixely or anything. It's like you're watching on a giant movie screen. It is like, again, if you're somebody who watches a lot of movies by yourself.
Yeah, I mean, this is an easy one. If you're really into movies, it's really easy to do this because there's nothing at home and very few things unless you're going to a top of the line, a Dolby Cinema or an IMAX or an Amazon or an AMC Prime. That's about the only thing that is remotely competitive with watching watching it on a Vision Pro if you're by yourself. And you learn, like, this is another thing you learn after a while is you know how to eat popcorn and you know how to drink things without it going, hey, what did you want me to do there? So those are things that you kind of you slowly learn to do. But I think that it is it's so enjoyable, and I think the difference for me with the Quest is still that I put the Quest on and I go do something on Supernatural or something like that, and I go to do something with the Quest. On the Vision Pro, when I put it on, I'm like, oh, it's been 2 hours. Like, I better go do something else. Like, I lost more time than I expected because I'll go watch something or I'll go watch
like
something
Jason,
else.
You lose track of time.
You do lose track of time in there pretty quickly. And I think the hard part is when someone gets when they tell me they have a new headset, I send them like, get Jig Space, get this, get the Prima app, get this app, get, Immersive Bliss, get, like, I make this like a list of things that they should download first so that they understand like what the headset can do, kind of thing. The one that usually is the one that pops out for people is Jig Space. It's the one that, like, when they see it, they see the possibility of what the product can do. From a 3D environment perspective.
And that's your Vision Pro segment. What? Stop! Pause! We're not done, apparently.
This entire segment is out of order.
I know, we threw the whole thing out. Sorry, it came up so quickly. The one thing that I think that people should pay attention to that relates to the headset.
I really wanted to end it, but I tried.
All I want to say is it's not so much just with the headset, but it's related to the headset, is the Apple spatial audio format is something we should start tracking. Like, it is a really, like, I've been watching the videos from WWDC.
Is that USDZ or is that something else?
No, so Apple is kind of I don't know all of it, and not all the data is there. So it's one of those things that you see, like you saw USDZ pop up in 2015 or 2016, and it's the beginning of something, and then you see it keep on growing. Inside of that, when you see Apple like release something and start talking about it, you kind of want to pay attention to what it's doing. The spatial format basically is it's a container that is ambisonic based, but a container that can fit Atmos inside of it. So Atmos sits
What?
Yeah. So think about Atmos can fit inside, but it can do a lot more than Atmos. So that's the issue. And what you're starting to see is that Apple is starting to think about, they don't have, the only place they deal with speakers is the Apple TV, really. Everything else is all your headset and everything else. And so an ambisonic, especially when you do higher order. So there's first and second ambisonic mics, but you can compose in third order, fourth order, fifth order of ambisonics and start to have a lot of resolution of where things are. And if you weren't trying to build beds and just objects and so on and so forth, you could do a lot more. And if you didn't have to worry about being compatible with everybody else, you could do a lot more. And so the thing is that it appears that Apple is thinking pretty hard. And as I said, I spent a lot of time looking through some of the videos in WWDC. It's definitely one of those things that I think it's worth starting to track. Like it's not there yet, but I could see artists starting to release stuff in that. It won't be that's the core format. How it's delivered is another format. But
what's the name of it?
It's I believe it's Apple Spatial Audio Format, ASAF.
AS
Apple
AF ASAF. Okay, so we'll look for that. And what you're saying is you get Dolby Atmos in the headset, so that stuff's above you and below you, behind you.
It can fit it in. Just think of it as a container that could fit. It'll do everything that Atmos can do, but it can do more. It's bigger. It's more detailed. It has a lot more to it, and it's not constrained by. Atmos right now is arguably one of the best formats to put something in a spatial environment. But imagine a container that is bigger than that environment, that can do more than that environment, but can still do Atmos. Kind of. If you talk to people that work on Atmos, they're like, well, the up speakers aren't quite right. But now it gets converted. That's their format. It gets converted into the Apple Positional Audio Codec, which is another thing, which is what you have to publish to go to the Apple Vision Pro. And so, but you can tell as they start to work through this, these two formats are, or these codecs and the format and the codecs are new. There's the tools are, Apple licensed right now, and only I think working in Logic and Resolve right now, if you can get a hold of them. But I think that this is going to be when you start to dig into it, it gives you a lot more resolution. Than what we get with potentially a lot more resolution than what we get with the Atmos format. The Atmos format gives you compatibility with all of these devices all over the world, and that's not something that Apple cares about. It's like if we build something that's got 2 or 3 times the resolution and all these other things that you can do, and it only works on the Apple platform. Apple's like, no. They'd prefer to have something that I don't know. I don't know. I haven't talked to Apple about it, but I think they'd prefer to have it that way. But I think that it kind of snuck under the radar at WWDC that I didn't pay attention to it until the last couple of weeks. And it's a pretty, it's worth, if you're a developer, if you have access to those videos, it's worth watching. It's interesting. Now I'm done.
Is that all?
That's all I have to say.
Can we stop it?
Now you see, now you know we're done talking.
The end.
Faded out rapidly. Congratulations to, drumroll please, Mr. Ed Sheeran, the most streamed artist of the last 10 years of Apple Music.
And YouTube.
Oh, YouTube! He won on YouTube too.
If you look at the most streamed track,
Shape of You is right up there.
There's so many. It's not that he has one that's the most, because I think the most is like a kid's thing with dinosaurs or something. But I think
it's Baby Shark, probably.
Yeah, Baby Shark.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what it is. So Sharks are dinosaurs. They're just still alive. Anyway, so anyway, but he's got like 10 in the top 20 or something like that. It's incredible.
Does Eddie, Eddie Sheeran.
He's done well for himself. That's all
He's
I got to
done well
say.
for himself.
Okay. With
we
chords.
never thought he'd amount to anything
because he only knew 4 chords.
Number 1, Shape of You. Number 8 is Perfect. Is number 8 on the list. And then I have to keep going down to find more. Anyway, number 2 is The Weeknd. Okay. Number 3 is Drake, God's Plan. Are these good songs? Post Malone's Sunflower, number 5. Post Malone's Rockstar, number 5. Sorry, Sunflower's number 4. One Dance featuring Wicked and Kyla by Drake, number 6. This seems to me just a list of like kind of, I don't know. I won't say anything bad. You used to be a music director. What would you say, Alex Lindsay?
It's all pop. I mean, that's what happens. Everyone's listening to pop.
It's the most popular.
You know, these are popular songs. A lot of people listen to them. They follow the pop charts, so to speak.
Yeah.
And
the pop formula, one might say.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people that talk about, there's no good music, and I asked my daughter, who's much more of an expert on this than I am at this point, and she said it's never been better. Like there's never been more.
Really?
Yeah. Well, if you dig in, if you are paying attention to, and you're looking, because artists can make. Anybody can make an album now, or anybody can do a recording. Billie Eilish is doing stuff out of her bedroom.
That's pretty amazing.
So the thing is, because these tools have become so accessible, there is so much music and so much variety. It's just that we see all these big ones.
We only see these guys,
but you're not going to see the ones at the top.
It's like podcasts.
Yeah, I mean, there's
there's a lot of great stuff.
I
may not be number 1 on Apple's charts,
but those ones pay for all the other things too, for the record companies. I remember I was talking to a lead singer named Mike Edwards, who's the lead singer for a band called Jesus Jones back in the day. And I asked him when he thought of Vanilla Ice, because they're on the same label. So I said, "What do you think of Vanilla Ice?" And he's like, "Oh, I love Vanilla Ice." He goes, "That's what pays. That's why I'm here."
Yeah,
like he was just like, like I'm here because Vanilla Ice pays the bills. And so he said they're not making any money on Jesus Jones. And so, so I think that all of this stuff kind of pays for that. But there is a huge, and then there's just all these independent folks that are out there, and you have to look for it a little bit. I don't have to look for it because I have a very knowledgeable 15-year-old daughter, so that sends me, has a playlist that keeps me up to date. But I think that if you look for it there, and I will agree, there's just incredible amount of good music out there. It's just not streaming a billion streams.
He started singing in a local church choir at the age of 4. Learned to play the guitar at 11. Began writing songs in high school. A school report described him as a natural performer, and his classmates voted him most likely to be famous. Number 1 on our hit parade, Ed Sheeran.
I swear to God, I thought you were doing like the old-timey prospector narrator. Like,
I don't do the best.
Casey Kasem. He was so ornery. He once shot a man just for snoring.
The old prospector, Ed Sheeran. Number 1. F1 is Apple's highest grossing theatrical film ever. $293 million at the global box office, beating Napoleon, which, is not easy to do, as the British learned, but somebody had to do it. F1 has generated $60 million from IMAX theaters alone. That's 20% of the total gross.
Because it's a big screen film. Like, that's why people are going to...
You want to see it at the IMAX if you can. Yeah. Look how big that screen is right there. That's a big screen. Looks like the people are real, but the cars are fake in this picture. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I don't know.
Also, they were smart enough to release it ahead of Superman and Fantastic Four.
Yes.
I think it might have gotten lost if it were like third in that in that release calendar.
Well, they learned from I can't even remember. There was that astronaut movie. There was the one where they're looking down a cliff. They learned from the various other movies. There was the one with the cat in the backpack. You know that one. None of them did so well. But F1 did good.
And they didn't need to make it. I mean, it's great that they made money. The big thing is they got a lot of people. Everybody knows that F1 is out, and so there'll
How
be
could you not know? It was in your damn wallet.
everywhere.
Everywhere.
It'll be really interesting for us to look at what happens as these contract negotiations go through, and whether that turns into whether this leads into much more F1 coverage on Apple, because I think that feels like it's the bigger game than just doing a movie. So
CNBC says while the film is nearing 300 million in global ticket sales, it still has a few more laps to go. Get it? In order to be profitable for Apple, the movie cost between 200 and 300 million to make, and 100 million to market.
And again, they don't need to make money on it. Like the hard part with this, everyone does this old math. Like, oh my gosh, they're going to lose money on it. They're like, these streamers are, quote unquote, losing money on everything they put on the stream instead of putting in the theatrical. Theatrical just takes the edge off. It's a much different business model. And I always think that when people say, oh, they're going to have to, that they're not going to make their money back, it's a bigger game than just trying to make box office. I think it doing well in the box office was important, I think, to make a splash. But I don't think that, there's many more people that are going to watch it on streaming later, I do think that what the streamers really give up is there's so much content being created. You see a little of this in the Apple Vision Pro. There's a little lap that they put on the Apple Vision Pro. But I always feel like the streamers are giving up. That they make these movies, they own the movies, they have a place to just throw lots of content, and I cannot believe they don't put more behind the scenes and making ofs, and they do a little.
Yeah, there'd be so much they could do with this.
It's like a drop of stuff, and people who are really into it, someone who's really into F1 who watched the movie, got really excited about it, might watch hours of that if it kept on coming out, of how to do that, and I'm always amazed that they don't put more into it. Some of it has to do with contracts but you're already paying the actors a lot of money. You can pay them a little bit more to have access to that usage.
Brad Pitt's not cheap.
No.
2 years in, Apple is officially on Threads.
Good for them.
Good for them.
Yeah, I wonder what held them back.
Huh? Yeah, why not? Yeah.
I mean, it is an Instagram meta.
The real question is, why are they still on X?
The thing
why is anyone still on X?
It's still the platform with the greatest reach. It's
is
still
it? I guess it is.
Tim Cook was Tim Cook posted just this week about the flooding in Texas, about how Apple is going to be helping to monetarily support relief efforts down there. And if you want that to reach the greatest audience, it's not going to be Blue Sky.
No, that's true. Apple's Fifth Avenue store was spray painted. That beautiful glass structure on Fifth Avenue. An Extinction Rebellion protester was arrested after spray painting "Tim plus Trump equals toxic" and "boycott" on the glass. Now, the good thing is glass is really easy to clean. So
yeah,
I think just, a little razor blade and some elbow grease.
Gone by the morning.
New York City, it's that glass was treated to resist worse than spray paint.
That's a good point. That's a good point. By the way, this is the post from Extinction Rebellion. Oh, they didn't do it on X. No, they did it on Blue Sky. So there.
True.
That's the hippie platform.
Can I say that for freehand, that is very, very good, spray paint penmanship.
They hired somebody.
He went
good.
to protest paint.
School. Oh, look, here come the employees. When do the Apple police arrive? Do they have? They're letting them do it. They're just letting them do it.
Most. I think most Apple employees are kind of instructed not to do anything.
Yeah, right. Just why? Don't get involved. Just we'll take it off in a minute.
Especially wait for them to get to the part of the performance where they're waiting to be arrested, because tackling them to the ground and kicking the spray can from his head.
There they go. Here they come. Gotcha.
Isn't a good visual.
No.
So they were upset about Tim Cook cozying up to Trump and Trump being so anti-environmentalist, and so that's where.
Is that the Weeknd? No, that's not the Weeknd. I'm sorry. Okay, it's not Ed Sheeran either. Just want you to know. Don't get confused by our
I thought they threw soup.
Yeah, no, they throw soup at artworks. That makes me mad because that's harder to clean up.
Yeah.
Don't throw soup at the Mona Lisa. I know it's behind glass. It's okay. This is my favorite story of the week. You can use sous vide. I know Andy put this in. You can use sous vide to help your iPhone repairs. This is from a Reddit post. Not on the Apple subreddit, but on the r/sous vide subreddit.
Oh, no.
Zizter said 180-degree Fahrenheit for the iPhone is the SV sous vide sweet spot. He apparently, what is he trying to do? He's trying to loosen the glue.
Yeah, he broke his screen and he didn't have the right tools to like soften the adhesive. So he decided, well, look, the water bath is the whole
it's the right temperature.
Sous vide is that it's a digitally controlled, perfectly held temperature. What if I were to put it in a sous vide bag, vacuum seal it so it can't get any water, and then precisely control. He put it into like 100. Yeah, he set it for like 212, and he decided to pull it.
No, that's boiling. Don't do that. Yeah,
or whatever. He pulled it earlier than he wanted, but he said that it came right off. No,
I have
damage.
my sous vide handy. He clearly though had a seal-a-meal or some sort of professional
vacuum sealer.
Vacuum sealer. I have one that's suitable for packing an entire deer. I got like an industrial. If you ever need a little vacuum packing, just come on over. I'll put your iPhone in that thing, and nobody gonna get into that. But that's important because you don't want the water to get into the iPhone.
Yeah, that's right. Don't do it just in a Ziploc bag and hope that the water doesn't get in because you might be in trouble then. You want something a little bit more than that. Sous vide, though, I don't know if I'd endorse this use, but it's great for decrystallizing honey. It's great for thawing. Put it on the lowest setting where there's no heat, and you just put water in it, and you can thaw frozen stuff in no time.
Yep.
Lots of great uses for it.
You don't really need a sous vide if you're not going to heat it. You can just put it in a bucket.
No, because the act of
circulating it.
So the pro tip is the way you do it is you put it in a bowl under the sink with the sink running very slightly because you need to have the circulation. Otherwise, the cold stays right next to it, and it takes forever to thaw.
Yeah.
By circulating the water, it thaws really fast.
Good tip.
Which is really great. And then you can take it out and marinate it or do whatever and cook it, or you can throw it on the grill or whatever. You can do any of those things. But
very nice.
So I'm sure this works.
Do it right if you're going to do it.
Probably.
I love it that he posted this on r/sous vide, not on r/Apple. And won the award for most unusual sous vide cook of the week.
It's a versatile appliance, Don't use it if you're on Chopped because it's not going to cook long enough for you. You got only 30 minutes for the entree round.
Yeah,
but every other application, it's worth a shot.
All right, get ready. Your picks of the week coming up next. You're watching MacBreak Weekly with Andy Ihnatko. Is the site up, Andy? Is it up?
3 more things to write, and it's up.
Oh, I love it. All right, 3 more things, and you will be able to go to ihnatko.com. We need a better mnemonic for this than I have no idea how to spell it. What could I have no absolute Kelvin to kill over?
I have no answer to knowing
tomorrow's
obituaries.
I have no answer to know tomorrow's obituaries.com.
I have to be honest and say I know some of them.
Anyway, good luck. Congratulations. That's great. OfficeHours.global, Mr. Alex Lindsay. What you got coming up?
What do I have coming up? I'm going
questions and answers.
We do question and answers, and then when we're done doing the question and answers, we do more question and answers. You will see we're testing more and more concerts, so stay tuned for more of that. But those are our big things.
Ed Sheeran might need somebody to bring people his amazing music.
I'll let you know. You know. We'll have our people talk to his people.
Have your people talk to his people.
Yeah.
OfficeHours.global, and on YouTube, it's youtube.com/OfficeHoursGlobal. And Jason Sells, sixcolors.com. And of course, many a podcast as well at sixcolors.com/Jason.
Yes, indeed.
What's your plug? Anything? I decided to move the plugs up in the
What's
show.
My plug this time? Geez, I had a good one too. Well, the last Friday we began the Summer of Submarines on the Incomparable. We are going to watch submarine movies. Das Boot is coming up.
Fun.
Crimson
Hunt
Tide.
For Red
We
October,
already did Hunt for Red October.
So many great submarine movies.
It's in there. Run Silent, Run Deep, and we're compiling a list. And And so, yeah, submarines. We're going to do a bunch of submarine movies. It's fun.
Here from Scooter X is an acronym, a mnemonic for an anako. In harmony, nature always takes kind order.
Okay.
I bet Perplexity could do this. Give me
I think it's too many letters. I think that's the problem. It's just too many letters.
For remembering the spelling of anatko. I wonder. This is just a little way to stall before we get to our picks of the week, ladies and gentlemen. I have never ate tomato ketchup onions. That's a good one.
Okay.
I have never ate tomato ketchup onions. I'm going to start my pick of the week because you guys made me think. What if I could make that iPad mini be everything I ever wanted in life? So I bought for $40 this Arctech keyboard case to take this tiny little lightweight iPad mini and turn it into a clunking behemoth that weighs, 2 pounds. But I got to say, it's the cutest little keyboard. It's completely functional if you got, little fingers. I decided I'm probably not going to use this day to day because one of the virtues of the mini is it's so light and you just hold it and it's easy. But on the other hand, for traveling, maybe this keyboard case will be the right thing. I will let you know. It also has a very nice place to put your pencil, as you can see. So and it's a good hard shell case. It is there since there is no, special adapter for the keyboard on the mini. It does have to use Bluetooth, but you charge it once and it lasts for a long, long time. So I will give credit to Arteck, and yes, you'd probably have to buy this one on Amazon because I don't think it's exactly something that Artec is selling directly. That's why I ended up getting it. Thank you for a kind of I think I read this on a review of this on, I think maybe on Wired, and I thought, I should give it a try. It's got all the right holes, and it's just kind of cute. Put it in your back pocket. You probably could fit it in your cargo shorts. Andy Anako, pick of the week.
First of all, Gemini came up with interesting humans never always take kind opinions. Which
Okay.
I'm going to have to clip and save
There's
for later.
some really
That's
good
a
ones
good one.
here. There's some really good ones here. I think we have plenty of them.
Excellent. So we talked about Prime Week. Okay, let's not get into consumerism. But however, I've historically, well, the thing is, Anchor is Amazon's like drop shipper. What it uses Amazon for drop shipping. So it's a good chance to like upgrade your power bricks, upgrade your cables, things like that. This year, I got something that I've kind of had my eye on. It's a really big power bank. It's the Anker 548 power bank, 192 watt hours.
Wow.
It's about the size of a loaf of bread. I didn't bring it in, but it's about the size of a loaf of bread. But the idea is that it can charge.
How much does it weigh?
It weighs about like 15, 16 pounds.
Gotta be pretty heavy because a lot of lithium.
It's pretty hefty. Yeah, exactly. And it has, but it does have a big carrying handle. It's easy to. It's very, very haulable.
For all of those watts, it's pretty compact. I mean, I'm surprised at how small it is.
Yeah, and given that it's according to the stats, it can charge a MacBook Air 2.9 times, charge an iPad Pro more than 3 times. iPhone can charge more than 7 times. It has a built-in like LED lamp, and it could keep that going for about 40 hours. I charged it up, and it takes only about 3 or 4 hours on a 60-watt charger to charge it up fully. It's not like the big like cooler-sized charger power banks that you sometimes see where it has actual like a power inverter, so you can plug actual AC appliances into it, and that's kind of overkill for what I'm kind of thinking of. The problem is that it is like and where I live, there are hurricanes, there are snowstorms. If we can lose power for a day, sometimes even 2 days when it's really, really bad. And it's nice to be able to have, instead of having like my normal like 20,000 milliamp hour like phone chargers I have another one that can charge my MacBook like almost once. it's nice to know that if I am caught in that situation, I don't even have to really care about conserving like my batteries. I can just simply, if I have to do a live stream, I can go off my phone, I can go off my iPad or my MacBook and just go on, like, yellow it, and it'll be perfectly fine. It's a nice happy medium, and also the reason why I decided to get it is because it is a really, really good deal right now. It's normally $150, and it's close to 50% off this week. I think that there's like an auto, if you go to anchor.com and order it directly, there's like a $66 auto applied coupon code. It's good for the next 3 days, so until like the end of this week. Also, as it happened, I had one of those recalled Anchor little batteries.
Yes.
So I had a $30 like Anchor store gift card, so I got it for like.
Did you send
$50.
it back to them, or did they tell you how to dispose of it, or what?
All they require is that you write on it, "Hey, this has been recalled. Don't use it." Take a picture of it and include it in the like web app that the web form.
I probably have a few of them. I actually look around. They were exploding, I guess.
Well, yeah. When you charge them up, they weren't exploding in and of themselves. But yeah,
themselves. Yes.
As it happened, I'd cleaned out my office just like 2 or 3 months earlier, and I had this like box of chargers that were, they're like 10,000 milliamp hours, 5,000 milliamp hours, where it's like they were fine back when, when phones were still using Motorola processors, but now they're like, they can, wow, I could actually now take 5 pictures with my phone after charging it up with this little thing. So I was happy. Oh, wow, that thing that I was trying to figure out how to throw away is actually going to net me $30. Awesome.
Thank you. I have never attempted to kill once.
Yes.
Thank you. I've never awakened technically knocked out. Thank you. I help newbies avoid technical knowledge overload.
Nice.
Those are all very appropriate. Maybe put one of those on a rotating banner. Put them all on a rotating banner on your new website.
Merch IDs. Each one is going on a throw pillow.
The problem is you need to know how to spell it to get. I recommend that in ico.com also have some redirects from domains that are misspelled.
Similar. Yes. Yes.
I do own some.
I hold nothing is true. No.
Yeah, I have 6colors.com with a U in it for the people who spell color with a U. Just in case.
Colors. 6 colors. The Anchor 548 power bank. And do look when you go. I think Anchor will have them listed on its site. Look and see if you have any of the 2 Anchor devices that are being recalled. I like it. You can just put your do not use on it.
Yeah, actually, it's right at the top of the page. There's a product recall link in the top right corner. Yeah, and they actually expanded it. There were like 4 more that they added.
Oh dear!
So give it a check.
Well, good on them. That's I'm proud of them for doing that. They're not hiding it.
It was easy. I didn't have to mail anything. Just a week later, I got in the mail. I got here's your $30 coupon code.
The Anchor power banks. There's several models. The Anchor Power Core 10,000. Oh, I have one of those.
It sounds like we were talking about this on another podcast the other day. These companies must have like product recall insurance or something, because it is. Because I bought an air conditioner that was the wire cutter pick for a window air conditioner a couple of years ago, and it got recalled. And they said, we'll send you a new one if you want, which I didn't. I've kind of replaced it. They're like, or you can cut the power cord, take a picture of it, and we'll send you money. I'm like, I don't like the waste of that, but I do kind of like getting my money. So for a thing that apparently generates horrible mold, and so you can't use it, it's like, all right, I'll take it to the dump, and I'll take your money.
Everybody likes money. That's why they call it money.
That's why they call it money. Reference acknowledged.
Thank you.
I'm good. This is an Anchor Prime. This one's okay.
I've never attempted to kill once.
Or if you want to joke about the website, which is also kind of appropriate, it has never appeared to kick off.
That's a good one for hurtfulness.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm not sure if I want to go in that direction. I'm not sure why our listeners would want to go in that direction.
What I find funny is we're talking about a website that I've been reading for the last 9 months. It's just that nobody else can see it.
Yeah, just us. It's just us kids.
It exists, folks. It exists.
Oh yeah, it's the real deal. I'd show it to you, but then Andy would have to.
It's good. In fact, one of the features, can I pre-announce this? One of the things, Andy does an enormous amount of work in advance of MacBreak Weekly in terms of compiling a whole bunch of like really good, juicy Apple related links for the week. And I said to him back in the midst of time, I said, that would be a good thing to post on your website, and they're awesome. So you will be rewarded when inotgo.com launches.
I should also mention, actually, this is a good opportunity to mention that after every show for the last couple of weeks, you've been doing a recap.
Yeah, I got all the lights set up, and I actually did it 1 week because I just wanted to test like my lights and set my camera just to shoot some video. And I wound up recapping the show, and then I realized that, hey, I kind of enjoy using Final Cut Pro. I haven't done that in 10 years, and Gemini can now teach me all the stuff I didn't want to do. There's I've edited the third one. I don't know. The thing is, usually the reason why I can do it is because usually there's no one who wants to use this room like after I'm done. Right now, there's somebody who's got it like literally as soon as I'm done here. So I might have time to record one this week. I might not.
Let's wrap up quickly, and that way we can get you into your. And then you put those on YouTube. But I imagine you'll at some point. Put them on the I have never attempted to kill once website.
And I have to thank you, Jason, because that was a good idea, and also it solved a problem in that I don't like doing those posts where here's an entire story that someone else very well read and wrote, and I'm going to write 2 or 3 paragraphs to sort of horks it. It's very, very nice to say I can add a comment to it and simply direct you to there
and send you to the site. Yeah,
and you'll find Andy after the site launches that you'll become as expert as I am in turning over every cushion to find potential things you could post on your website. So
content.
I was happy to see that in you.
It doesn't come from nowhere, kids.
My blue. I have so many links in my Blue Sky. Not Blue Sky, in my raindrop account that is basically exactly for this purpose. Every
Blue Sky, a little raindrop must fall.
Yes.
Yeah. So 2 or 3 times a week, I harvest no, that's just for me. Okay, no, that's a good one. No.
Jason Snell, pick of the week.
Yeah, there's a game that's been kicking around. It's on Apple Arcade. My friend Mike Hurley recommended it on his blog that he started. And I said to my wife, you might like this game. And the fact is we're both playing it all the time now. It's the watermelon game, Suica Game Plus. And this is an example where Apple has taken a game that's in the App Store, and it's on a bunch of other platforms too. And they built a version of it that is basically completely covered. You don't have to spend a dime. And it is a great game. It is. This is a game. It has Tetris is one of my favorite games of all time. This has strong Tetris vibes, as well as matching 3 in a row vibes like Candy Crushes, and also games like Threes, where you have the escalating numbers and you're trying to build them and get them together. All of those things have kind of been mixed together, and it's all in the context of smiling Japanese fruits. That's what it is. And you want to get up to the watermelon. You start with the cherry, you end up with the watermelon. It's complicated. It's got weird physics because they're all round. So unlike Tetris, where they all just kind of drop and they go where they do, these things like land on a thing and then slowly roll off and fall down, and it changes the dynamics. If you haven't played it, it's worth a go, especially if you have Apple Arcade. I really like the gameplay of it. The fact that it reminds me of some of my favorite games speaks really well of it. So
it's cool because a game like this, like Candy Crush, would be so full of in-app purchases and to have it in arcade so you could just play it.
For people who don't know, Apple has taken a bunch of games that are in the App Store with in-app purchases and stuff like that, and they have this line of games that are in Apple Arcade that are the Plus versions. And what that means is it's the same game, but there's no in-app purchase. Everything is covered. Because you're an Apple Arcade subscriber. And so I haven't played, I don't know what's in the regular game because I've only played the Apple Arcade version, but it's really good. And it's on Switch and a bunch of other platforms too. So you can go to suicagame.com and see all of them. But it's worth a look if games like Tetris or Candy Crush or Threes tickle your fancy, because it is kind of a mashup of all 3 of those, and it's really good and cute.
play it right now. This is so
adorable.
exciting.
Good,
I'm
good.
very excited.
Good iPhone game, good on a commute, all of those kind of things. It's that sort of thing. It has a completely bizarre, inscrutable user interface, but you just play it and you're dropping fruits and you figure it out. And I should say the way it works is you drop the fruits, they merge together, and when the fruits go to the top of the box, you die. That's the end of it.
Well, you don't want to do that. So this is a little Tetris-y. Oh, look, it turned into a giant tomato. Okay.
Yeah, is it tomato? We debate what the fruits actually are, because
it could be an apple. That could be an apple.
Yeah, it looks like a tomato to me too, even though I think it's an apple.
I think your wife said it was an apple, and that's why you're questioning my authority. Oh, look, if I could get those two oranges to
you got
meet
it.
up.
She did say it was an apple.
I knew
tomato,
it. I could
the
tell.
other's an orange.
That's the kind of thing,
Yeah,
adults
I think it
usually
goes
fight about.
great. I think it goes cherry to grape. No, cherry to. Oh, where does it go?
These are grapes. These little ones are grapes.
Yeah. Grapes. It's cherry to strawberry to grape.
Oh.
To Tangelo to orange.
Now what do I do?
And then you're in the melons.
You could roll them
you
together.
get the yellow melon, the pink melon, the green melon, and then finally the watermelon at the top.
Okay.
Play forever.
I'll be doing this for a while. I'll let you just continue on. Thank you. Suica Game Plus. It's in arcade. Don't buy it.
Yeah.
Just play it in the arcade.
If you've got Apple Arcade, just get it there free.
Yeah. And if you don't, why don't you have Apple Arcade? That's crazy. Mr. Alex Lindsay's next.
So I'll talk about the first product that got us into this company called Turtle AV. But we had them on the show last night for extra hours and our evening show because the morning show isn't enough. And and so we had these guys on because they had one product that I hadn't seen before that I definitely needed and it's not shipping yet, but I'll explain it. It's called Downtown. It's by Turtle AV, and what it does is it actually lets you. This is kind of geeky, but it lets you take, you can take HDMI and push it in, and what it'll do is it'll convert it to 9 channels in Dante. Or
it's a Dante device, of course.
Or push out. You see these little or push out analog out of the side here. These are the little. So if you need to turn your, and this is if you're doing this is really designed around AV installs. So if you're trying to figure out how do I get to all the speakers, and I need an easy way to have HDMI, not just channels embedded, but stuff that's coming in over Atmos. So like your Apple TV, and it'll loop through here. But then once it's in there, it can distribute those out via Dante or via analog. And as we started to get into it, we realized that they're doing a lot of other things. And so if you look at, if we go back to, what the other things that they have here, we suddenly realize they've got lots of Dante adapters and other ways to control Dante. And it's just a really it was a company that I didn't know existed a couple weeks ago. and so I'm only bringing it up for
now you're their best customer,
the geeky viewer that, and we spent an hour with them last night and it was just out of just curiosity because it's like, how does a company, and I guess they really have only been a company for about, I think 6 months or something like that. So they've produced a lot of products. Or maybe they've been a company longer, but the products have become public.
I think their branding's good because they've got like Tiffany blue boxes. They're very
it's very green or whatever that.
I think that's teal or maybe Tiffany blue. It looks like a Tiffany's box with a lot of ports on it.
Yeah, and so it's.
I wish I needed Dante because I would just like everything to be Dante.
It makes life much easier.
Yeah, well, if I had more than one microphone in the entire house,
I have Dante going between my computers in my office. It's.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's. I use it to basically anything I want to connect via audio. I'll have I have a speaker over here, and I just have the Audinate and also Turtle make these little things that are just XLR outs from an Ethernet. So anytime I want to add something, I just put the XLRs, these little adapters, I just stick it into whatever I need to stick it into, and then I plug in PoE Ethernet into it, and now I can now route audio from anywhere to that speaker. So when you get
why
used
do
to
they call it Downtown? Is that a common?
I don't know. I don't. We should have asked. I think.
You're moving your sound downtown, man.
I think it may be sitting on what's called the Brooklyn chip, which is the Dante chip that's used. Maybe that is related.
Maybe because the lights are much brighter there. You can forget all your troubles and forget all your cares. It's possible.
Yeah. But anyway, so for the geeky folks that we have a lot of people listening, and some people are in AV, and if I feel like I do a show every day talking about AV. If I didn't know that this company existed until 2 weeks ago, it was worth recommending so that people know that, hey, there's a company building really cool pieces of hardware that
it is cool.
Like,
It's very cool.
It's cool.
TurtleAV.com.
Yeah.
Go downtown, man. Well, I think that wraps it up. Maybe we'll have when do the next guys have to get into the library room? Do you have time to do your?
I have time to do my show, my after show.
Your mini show? Yeah, Andy's mini MacBreak coming
like on
up.
E! Online. We'll have the guests back on. We'll have the lounge with drinks, and they'll throw rosé at each other, just like
Andy Cohen.
Like Andy Cohen. There you go. I couldn't think of his name. The other Andy.
The other Andy. Thank you so much, Andrew. Stay tuned. He has yet to kill once. I have something like that. Anyway, thank you so much, Andrew. All the best. We appreciate it. Alex Lindsay, are you still in hiatus with the Gray Matter show, or have you started?
We're coming back right at the end of August, and so we're going to come back up on Substack as Krasny Conversations, and so we'll give people more information, and so that we're relaunching in Substack. I think the first interview, I believe, is with Richard Haas, formerly of Foreign Affairs, and so talking about stuff. So we're going to jump right into the deep end. But I think
that's good for you. I remember going to to an airport with you, get on a flight, and you buying a stack of stuff, including Foreign Affairs and The Economist, and I thought, man, this guy's smart.
I've been reading Foreign Affairs since I was 15 years old. I don't know how I got into that So anyway, so he's. So that'll be starting up. I think our first live record. We're going to start streaming to Substack. That's what I'm starting to test right now on my channel.
Yeah, Substack just added video as well. We've been kind of thinking about it ourselves.
Yeah. So
do you have to be invited
for the live? I think you need to get something flipped on the back end. So
we were thinking of adding it to our live.
I'm sure that they would accommodate. Leo, if I can have your people talk to their people if you have that.
My people wanted to do it. I think we got stymied because we thought we had to get invited. So
we'll talk.
I'm very humble. I'm a humble person. I have not yet killed once. I have not. Whatever that is. Now we're going to make it really hard to remember how to spell Andy's name. I'm sorry, Andrew. Jason Snell, I mentioned, sixcolors.com. Got to go there. Got to do it. Listen to his shows, The Incomparable, Upgrade, all the rest. Thank you, guys. Thanks to all of you who watch and listen every week. We stream the show live every Tuesday, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, 1800 UTC. Of course, for the Club Twit folks, they can chat with us inside the Discord, but there's also YouTube for general public. Everybody can watch. YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, X.com, and Kick.com. And I see the chats. I see all the chats unified in there. So please feel free to use any of those platforms and watch live, but you don't have to watch live. In fact, most people, it's a podcast. Download it after the fact. You could do that from our website, twit.tv/MBW. There's a link on that page to our YouTube channel dedicated to the video of MacBreak Weekly. Great for sharing clips with friends and family. Best way to watch or listen is to subscribe to the audio or the video feeds in your favorite podcast player. And if they allow reviews, many do, Pocket Casts, Overcast, Apple Podcasts, please leave us a 5-star review. Let the world know that you listen to the best darn Vision Pro show in the whole wide world.
Number one.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time. And as I have for the last many, many years, assumed the solemn, dignified, and yet somehow difficult duty of saying to you, get back to work. Break time is over. Bye-bye. The tech world moves fast, and you need to keep up for your business, for your life. The best way to do that? Twit.tv. On This Week in Tech, I bring together tech's best and brightest minds to help you understand what just happened and prepare for what's happening next. It's your first podcast of the week and the last word in tech. Cybersecurity experts know they can't miss a minute of Security Now every week with Steve Gibson. What you don't know could really hurt your business, but there's nothing Steve Gibson doesn't know. Tune in Security Now every Wednesday. Every Thursday, industry expert Micah Sargent brings you interviews with tech journalists who make or break the top stories of the week on Tech News Weekly. And if you use Apple products, you won't want to miss the premier Apple podcast, now in its 20th year, MacBreak Weekly. Then there's Paul Thurrott and Richard Campbell. They are the best connected journalists covering Microsoft. And every week they bring you their insight and wit on Windows Weekly. Build your tech intelligence week after week with the best in the business. Your seat at tech's most entertaining and informative table is waiting at twit.tv. Subscribe now.